Hello friends, welcome to Universe of Naruto X. If you love Naruto what if stories and anime explanations, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Now let's begin today's story. While Kakashi had insisted that they do teamwork exercises when they weren't doing D-rank missions, sure as Naruto and Sasuke had vehemently argued against that. While Kakashi still refused to train them for real, the brothers could tell that they were wearing him down. Right now the brothers were practicing while waiting for their sensei to show up while their third teammate was reading a book on anatomy. While Sakura was a major fangirl at first, Sasuke insisting that being a shinobi was dangerous and while he cared for her safety that he didn't want to have to always protect her either. Huffing at how he still couldn't do the Bijudama, Naruto looked into the river to see his Mangekyo activated ag. Hey, it looks like we are going to up the 4-pillar reverse consumption seal. My Mangekyo is starting to randomly activate again. Just make sure you consult the sage when you get a chance. The 4-pillar reverse consumption seal was something Naruto and Jiraiya came up with as his chakra began to become unmanageable about 2 years ago. What it did was cause a portion of the chakra that Naruto used to flow back into the seal and into the Kyuubi. When they had first applied it, the Kyuubi had, for a lack of a better term, acted like Naruto for a week to its eternal shame. Now they warned it before they did so that it could get ready for the influx of humanized chakra. At the moment 28% of Naruto's chakra would be channeled back into the Kyuubi. While it did serve its purpose, it also had the unfortunate side effect of causing Naruto's chakra coils to expand even more. So Naruto had already been forced to increase the flow back 3 times. Lifting up his shirt and channeling chakra, Naruto watched as the 4-pillar reverse consumption seal appeared with the kanji for 28 in the center appeared superimposed over his 8 trigrams seal. Twisting it to the right until it read 34, Naruto stopped channeling chakra and let it disappear as his Mangekyo reverted to its normal Sharingan state. Who thought having too much chakra could be a problem? Naruto sighed as Kakashi appeared. Now you understand why a Bijuu's arsenal consists of gathering chakra into a sphere, compressing it and blowing everything to hell. Thanks for teaching me the Bayudama, by the way. It's fine. While you can't blow everything to hell like a Bayu can, your smaller version is acceptable for a human. Hello my kawaii little genin. Are you ready to do more teamwork exercises? Kakashi said with an eye smile. I don't understand why you have us doing these. If anything, you're only alienating Sakura more. Sasuke grunted. Oh. What do you mean? Kakashi asked with a raised eyebrow. Simple. Because Naruto and I already have great teamwork. The only reason you would be having us do these teamwork exercises all the time is because of Sakura. Meaning that the reason you're not teaching us anything is also because of Sakura. Sasuke explained calmly, though you could hear hints of irritation in his voice. Turning to Naruto, Kakashi asked, Naruto, do you feel the same way? Not really, but if you don't start helping me soon, then I might accidentally kill myself because I mess up a jutsu and then Sasuke really will hate you and Sakura. Naruto said pointing to his chakra burns. I would never let you die from something as stupid as that. I know, but they don't. Seeing the look of panic on Sakura's face, Kakashi sighed. Alright, we will spend the first hour together doing teamwork then. If I think you guys are good enough, then we can do other stuff. Good enough. Good enough. It was Sasuke and Sakura that helped me put Tora in your shower 3 days ago for always being late. Naruto shouted with his arms in the air, turning to Sasuke and Sakura, who began sweating. Kakashi's visible eye gleamed with sadistic light. I see. Then let's begin with some warm-ups then. Line break. On the other side of the village, a man in green spandex and a Chunin vest with huge eyebrows and a bowl cut stopped and looked towards the sky. I feel a disturbance in the springtime of youth, almost as if someone's youth screamed out in horror before it was suddenly silenced. Line break. 2 hours later at training ground 7. Please, half sensei, let me rest half or kill me. I really don't care at this point. Sakura said as she laid face down on the ground. Half-n Sasuke grunted as he lay on his back. I'm going to go do another lap. I'm not really tired yet. Naruto said before he got up and started running again. Staring at the back of the redhead with seemingly infinite stamina, the remaining members of Team 7 couldn't help but sweat drop. There is something half wrong with that boy. Sakura said with a twitching eyebrow. Huff, there is a reason why Huff we don't have any coffee or sweets in our house. Sasuke added his 2 cents. Well, at least he's going to have a very happy girlfriend someday. Kakashi said almost offhandedly. Seeing Sakura staring at him non-believingly, Kakashi just let out a flat "What? Did you really just say that about a 12-year-old? Sakura asked with wide eyes and a small blush on her cheeks before she turned to Sasuke. And you, that's your brother he's talking about. Sakura almost screamed. Sasuke, who still had not moved from his spot on the ground, just shrugged. His godfather is a self-proclaimed super pervert. You get used to hearing about it eventually. Hell, part of the reason we decided that I would be the one who'd be Rookie of the Year and get a fan club is because if his godfather ever heard that Naruto had fangirls, he would never let it go. Deciding to get the training back on track, Kakashi interjected, so, what did you want to learn exact? TLY. Sasuke made a hemming noise. I know Naruto wants to know about elemental training and manipulation because otherwise he can't use ninjutsu due to his extremely powerful chakra. Right now, the only thing he can do, other than his weapons creation, is compress his chakra and use it like a bomb. I want to learn some basic elemental manipulation, but I want to focus on my speed. Kakashi shook his head. I never thought I would see the day when someone has too much chakra to do jutsus. Sitting up, Sasuke grunted, but that's not the main problem. It's his chakra being so dense and powerful that he can't use standard hand seals to mold it. To learn jutsus, he would have to completely re-engineer them. Rubbing his chin, Kakashi muttered, I see. And his dense chakra is how he creates those weapons he always uses in spars. Since his chakra is so dense, if Naruto is lightning-natured, then he would be just a few steps away from Chidori. Sasuke grunted before he turned to Sakura. So, what do you want to learn, Sakura? If you want to learn about medical ninjutsu, I can teach you the basics. You would probably be a better medical ninja than me because of your smaller reserves. Blushing, Sakura smiled. I'd like that. Sighing, Sakura continued, really, now that I know how strong you and Naruto truly are, I am starting to feel really inadequate. Hearing what Sakura just said as he jogged in, Naruto just shook his head and waved his hand. Don't worry about it, Sakura-chan. We are actually pretty average as far as shinobi go. We just train a lot. Average shinobi don't throw around B-rank kaiten and raten jutsus before they're 14, nor do they have so much chakra and such powerful chakra that it actually stops them from doing justice. Sakura a deadpan. Chuckling Naruto could only sheepishly scratch his head. Shaking his head, Kakashi decided to get things started. Okay Naruto, I heard from Sasuke that you're interested in elemental manipulation. Nod. Well, I'll get you started on that. Do you know what your elemental affinity is? Another nod. Okay, that saves time. Sasuke, you go get Sakura started on medical ninjutsu and meet back in 2 hours. Let's break. Line break. With Sasuke and Sakura. Okay Sakura, medical ninjutsu is the use of chakra to manipulate another's or your own body. Because of this, it requires a complete understanding of human anatomy. The initial test for one to become a medical nin is to revive a dead fish. I'll teach you the basics, but you're going to have to go to the hospital to get real training. For now, here are the hand seals. Let's practice molding your chakra. Line break. With Naruto and Kakashi. All right Naruto, what is your elemental affinity? Kakashi asked in a bored tone. Kakashi-sensei, can you keep a secret? Naruto asked, scratching the back of his head. Depends. Does this secret pose any harm to yourself, your teammates or the village? No. No and no. Then I don't see why not. Kakashi said with an eye smile. Okay. Naruto said, closing his eyes. When he opened them, they had a miniature pupil with 6 concentric rings and an ice blue glow. What is that? Kakashi asked, a little freaked out by the odd-looking eyes. They're called the Rinnegan, and to be honest I have no idea what they do beside give me an affinity to all 5 elements. This is the base form of my eyes, and the reason I have my Sharingan on all the time is to hide them. I see, Kakashi said. It was understandable that he would want to keep it a secret with people like Danzo running around. Turning his Sharingan back on, Naruto asked, so, what element do you want to start on? Ero Sennin already started me on Earth. Shaking the surprise off, Kakashi focused again. Ero Sennin, must be Jiraiya-sama. I think I'll start you on lightning then since it is my main element. Also, due to your naturally dense chakra, there is a jutsu that I think would be perfect for you. I'll show you it later with Sasuke after you both finish the first steps so you guys will have a decent idea of what to do. Taking a leaf from a tree, Kakashi handed it to Naruto. Okay, Naruto, what you want to do to train a lightning affinity is vibrate your chakra to increase its piercing power and D speed. When applied to a leaf, the result is Kakashi took a leaf and put it in between his hands for a moment. When he opened them again, the leaf was completely wrinkled up. When you can do this in less than 2 minutes, I'll show you the jutsu. Now, I hear you have no way of making clones without making like 100 of them. Nodding, Naruto put the leaf in between his hands and sat down with a look of concentration on his face. Alright, well, I'll show you a jutsu that you can use instead of Bunshin called Cage Bunshin in the meantime. However, don't use it too much. Why? Naruto said confused. The Cage Bunshin isn't like other clones. It forms a solid clone by splitting the user's chakra in half and any memories the clone gets the original gets to once it is dispelled. However, it is very chakra intensive, even I can't make more than 4 in one day. So, if you use it too much, my already unmanageable chakra will become even worse. Naruto said with a sweat drop. Correct. I'll leave it up to you how many you want to use for training, but remember my warning. Now, when you're dispelling your clones, here's what you want to do. Line break. 2 hours later, when Team 7 met again in the training ground, Naruto's clones were able to wrinkle the leaf in 5 minutes and Sakura was able to do the basic Mystic Palms jutsu. While Naruto and Sakura were off doing their thing, Sasuke was training with Kakashi. After explaining how to do the basic leaf exercise for lightning, they were now training his speed. And when I say training, I mean Kakashi beating the crap out of Sasuke. Letting out, oof. As a fist buried itself into his gut, Sasuke tried to dodge the kick that sent him airborne, but he wasn't fast enough and landed flat on his back. Kakashi turned to address all his students. Okay, take a 10-minute rest if you need to. We will go do some D ranks until the afternoon. Grunting, Naruto shifted into a meditative stance while sitting and dispelled his clones, getting ready to sort out the influx of information. Sakura stopped molding medical chakra and flopped down on the grass. Sasuke sat up and began healing himself. Line break. Naruto was walking to a dango hut. Sasuke had been kidnapped by a mob of fangirls, of whom included Sakura, when he came across Hinata and Team 8 in said dango hut. Hey Hinata-chan. Naruto yelled with a wave as he walked over to a 4 more mentioned team, grinning like an idiot. Naruto-kun, how are you and your team doing? Hinata said with a smile. I'm good, Hinata-chan. We finally got our lazy of a teacher to teach us something. Naruto said before turning to the other members of Team 8 and giving them each a short bow. Good afternoon, Yuhi-san. Dog breath. Hey, Shino-san. Good afternoon, Naruto-san. Kurenai said with a smile while Shino just nodded. Hey, my breath's not that bad. Kiba objected. Yes, it is, was Shino's stoic reply. Sorry, Kiba-kun, Hinata said with a smile. I think it's a part of your unique character. Kurenai said as a small rain cloud formed over Kiba's head. ARF. Akamaru finished the combo as a lightning bolt from the rain cloud hit Kiba on the head and knocked him out of his seat. Turning her attention from the sobbing Kiba and looking around, Hinata noticed something was missing. Oh. No, Naruto-kun. Where is your team? Ha. Kakashi went to go do whatever it is Kakashi does in his spare time, and Sasuke kind of got kidnapped by some fangirls on our way back, so I came here to get some dango for when he gets home later tonight. Naruto said as he scratched his cheek. Bullshit. You tripped the Uchiha. You even smirked at him as he was getting dragged into the mob. No, I didn't. Don't lie to me, boy. I'm in your mind. I know everything that goes on up in here. Well, he called me Kai. Wait, what? Seriously, everything? Yes, everything. Single quote, comma, single quote. Quote, comma, quote. If I ever get you out of the seal, you wouldn't tell Ero Sennin about maybe. What about Sakura? Shino asked with a raised eyebrow. I thought I mentioned the fangirls. Naruto said looking oddly innocent while the members of Team 8, minus Kiba, all grew sweat drops on Their head. Naruto turned to give Hinata a smile, complete with Bashonen sparkles. So, how's it going, Hinata? I missed you. We should get back together and spend some time together like we did in the academy. I missed you, too, Naruto-kun, and I'd like that. Hinata said with a blush on her face. Kurenai was somewhat amused at how Naruto was completely oblivious to Hinata's crush on him. Yeah, there wasn't anyone in Konoha besides Naruto who didn't know about the Hyuga heiress's crush. While most civilians didn't like it, many of the shinobi actually supported it due to Naruto being the last of an extinct clan. There was even a betting pool for when Naruto finally figured it out. She personally had bet around 16. That's usually when teenagers, especially shinobi, did the dirty. In their line of work, the next mission always could be the last and you never knew when you'd come home in a body bag. Also, it helped that she heard a rumor that was about when Hyashi's wife had gotten tired of his stoicism and jump. Ed him. Hinata was very much like her mother. Anyway, I'll see you guys later, Naruto said as he was handed a bag of dango and left. Line break. Uchiha District. Naruto and Sasuke's house. I hate you. What? It was an accident. __. I saw you smirk at me before the fangirls dragged me away. At least Sakura got you out of there. After she spent 5 minutes drooling over me and as I was dodging the more rabid fangirls. Really, I would have thought they'd have bound and gagged you. What? I said I was sorry. Okay. There will be vengeance. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe not this week. Maybe not this month. Maybe not even this year. But there will be vengeance, Sasuke said with a dark look in his eye as he finished the dango. Hey, why don't we get started on that exercise Kakashi-sensei gave us? Naruto said as he tried to change the topic. HN line break. The next day training ground 7. Alright, Naruto and Sasuke, how far did you get on the leaf exercise? I know you both practiced it when you went home last night. Kakashi said, remembering that Sakura was at the hospital to help her with medical ninjutsu and would be with them around midday. Well, with clones, I was able to get it down to 2 minutes. Naruto said, grinning. And how many clones did you use? Kakashi asked in a deadpan. He used 30. I'm down to 2 minutes also. Sasuke said, how did you get it so fast, Sasuke? I know Naruto used the cage bunshi. I've been using lightning jutsu in our spars for about 2 years now. My chakra was already conditioned on top of my natural affinity to be more lightning natured. Sasuke said with a smirk. I see. Listen, Naruto. Sasuke, this jutsu I'm about to teach you, it's not a blade to kill your enemies. It's a blade to protect your precious people. A blade so that those you hold dear aren't taken away from you. Promise me that you'll wield this blade not for vengeance or for glory, but to protect your precious people. Seeing the haunted look in their sensei's eyes, Naruto and Sasuke couldn't help but nod. Receiving 2 nods, Kakashi went through 3 hand seals ending on monkey before he gripped his right hand with his left. White lightning began to surge around Kakashi before gathering into his palm where it condensed and wrapped around his hand. This is the Chidori, 1000 birds, an A-rank assassination technique, my only original jutsu and what I'm going to be teaching you. Once you get Jonin rank and enough proficiency in this, then I will teach you the version of Chidori that I use. The lightning dancing around Kakashi seemed to intensify and focus, turning blue. The Reikiri, lightning cutter. Seeing the shining looks that Sasuke and Naruto were giving him, he couldn't help but chuckle. I still got it. Now, can either of you tell me what my chakra looked like when I used the Chidori? It was super condensed around your hand. Sasuke immediately pointed out. Correct. And what did the hand seals do? It condensed the chakra and changed the nature to lightning. It's the perfect jutsu for me, Naruto realized as his eyes light up. Thanks, Kakashi-sensei, Naruto said as he and Sasuke were already going through the hand seals and focusing their chakra. Just remember what I said about the Chidori. It's a blade to protect what you hold dear. Line break. A few weeks later, training ground 7. Kakashi stood in the middle of the training ground, both eyes uncovered and closed. There was no sign of his usual ika and his body was tense, both arms hanging at his sides and a kunai in one hand. Mismatched eyes snapping open, Kakashi ducked just as a giant chakra shuriken passed over his head. Turning around to parry a kunai slash, Kakashi snap-kicked his duck-haired attacker back and leapt back as two chains smashed into where he was standing. Hearing the sound of something swishing through the air, Kakashi blocked a punch. He turned to face his now whiskered red-haired attacker before getting smacked in the face by an orange fox tail. Doing a backflip, Kakashi began to run those seals as he saw Sasuke doing the same. Raiden, Gian lightning style, false darkness. They both said, finishing their hand seals at the same time as they shot streams of lightning towards each other. Being the older and more experienced shinobi, Kakashi's attack should have overpowered Sasuke, and it would have if Kakashi hadn't had to reel ace his jutsu to avoid getting a seal placed on him. Kakashi engaged Naruto in a taijutsu match while he kept an eye on Naruto's hands so that Naruto couldn't place a seal on him. Sucker punching Naruto, Kakashi landed a very hard spin kick to his head to knock him back before jumping back as a stream of lightning crashed into where Kakashi was standing before. Kaiten, Gokaku, fire style, grand fireball. Sasuke said, breathing out a huge fireball at the airborne Kakashi. When the fireball hit him and exploded, smoking timber fell out of the smoke, signifying a Kawarimi body replacement. Sasuke extended his senses to look for Kakashi. Sensing a presence behind him, Sasuke turned to see Kakashi right behind him. Dodging the fist aimed at his soleus plexus, Sasuke threw a punch at Kakashi's face. Dodging the arm, Kakashi snaked his arm around Sasuke's before pulling violently and dislocating his shoulder. Biting back a scream of pain, Sasuke began channeling lightning chakra to the arm that was still entwined with Kakashi's. Kakashi jerked, feeling the lightning chakra coursing throughout his system before he put a knee in Sasuke's stomach to knock him out. Seeing Sasuke slump over, Naruto couldn't help but smirk. This was the power of Anbu Captain Kakashi rather than the pathetic loser they had fought for their final Chunin exam. Drawing on more of the Kyuubi's power until the one-tailed cloak formed, battle was joined. Line break. Jackass. A beaten-up Naruto cursed as Sakura reset the bones in his arm. You're the one who wanted to fight me at my full power. Kakashi said nonchalantly, even though he had lost his vest, headband, and was still slightly smoking from Sasuke's last attack. Sasuke, who was holding his dislocated shoulder, grunted. Hey, Chan. Hard to believe, Naruto, and I used to be able to take you down handily only a few weeks ago. Sakura, who was done healing to Sasuke, I think that's a good thing. If Sensei hadn't started training with us, then he wouldn't have gotten so much stronger. Kakashi showed no outward reaction. It's not so much I'm getting stronger so much as I'm regaining what I've lost. These past few years out of Anbu really took their toll. I might thought you seemed kind of weak for an Anbu captain. By the way, what was that weird power that Naruto was using? Sakura asked. That was the Kyuubi. It's sealed inside me, Naruto said. Oh. Okay. Sakura shrugged. Really? Just oh, okay. What is with people and not reacting in a way that lets me make fun of them later? The now healed Naruto said, bouncing up and down. I know about Jinchuriki from the class lectures. To be honest, I figured out the Kyuubi had a Jinchuriki a week after our team was formed when my fangirlness started to bleed off. Granted, I expected him to be a loudmouth, or a socially inept introvert. To be honest, compared to the stories of Jinchuriki from other nations that I've heard of, you're fairly well-rounded. Not to mention when you use its power, you grow only a tail and whiskers. What's up with that anyway? Ah. That was my initial Jinchuriki state. Wait, what stories of Jinchuriki? I never heard any, Naruto said, confused. That's odd. My parents would tell me about them all the time. When I was little, I was actually scared of them, but when I found it out how they were treated, it's not that surprising. Sakura said with a shrug. Well, you have Suna, who's Jinchuriki, who kills anyone who looks at him the wrong way. Sakura began as she finished healing Sasuke and moved to Kakashi. One of Iwa's Jinchuriki hates humanity. Kumo's Jinchuriki apparently has a rap fetish, and then you have the Mizukage, who's probably one of the worst. He ordered genocide of all bloodline users and caused Kiri to erupt into a civil war. Sakura said with a shiver. How could all of them be like that? What happened? Naruto thought with wide eyes. Because typically Beiyu and Jinchuriki don't get along like we do. Imagine for a moment that the Uchiha hadn't adopted you. You wouldn't be the same as you are now, Probably having no faith in humanity due to the way Konoha disrespected your father's sacrifice and only looking out for yourself. However, because the Uchihas adopted you, the love you felt from your family offset the hatred you felt for the village. But imagine that you never knew that love, that at best we had an antagonistic relationship. You would have become as your female teammates said and probably never even have figured out your parentage. Yeah, that's probably true, Sakura-chan, Naruto told his female teammate as she finished healing the sensei. Why did I not feel anything from your chakra though? From the stories the adults told me I would have thought it to feel like bloodlust incarnate. Sakura said, well, that's from the belief that a Bijuu's will comes with its chakra. While that's true if the Beiyu is actively trying to take over, if it's not, its power is just energy in its purest, rawest form, and that usually causes the Jinchuriki's desires to become magnified. Typically, they're well, like you described, and since people don't want to admit that they are the ones who caused the Jinchuriki to become like that, they just say it's the Beiyu. Naruto said with a sad look on his face, how do you know all of this, Naruto? Sakura said with a raised eyebrow. The Kyuubi wasn't behind the attack 12 years ago. That's all I'll say, Naruto said as he and Sasuke stood up. Nodding, Sakura accepted the explanation. Stretching out his muscles as he stood up, Kakashi said, okay, well, rest up for a few minutes while I go get another vest from my home. Then when I get back, we'll go do some missions. Line break. This is Cyclops. Everyone is positioned. This is Cherry. I'm in position. HN. Duckass in position. Why couldn't I just make a clone for this? Because it's not fair that you get to train while the rest of us have to do these chores. Now, are you in position, Chibi? Not a Chibi. I'm in position. Then converge on the target. 3 figures leapt out from the shadows. The target dodged the first figure, making sure to leave some scratch marks on the way before headbutting the second figure in between the legs, making him go down with a wheeze before it jumped into the third figure's arms. Naruto chuckled sheepishly, scratching the back of his head as he saw his 2 teammates groaning on the ground. For some reason, Tora seemed to like him, but would cause extreme pain to anyone else that got close to her. Target captured. Ribbon confirmed on left ear. Mission to capture Tora complete. Line break. Hokage Tower. Oh. My precious Tori, how I missed you. The daimyo's wife said as she subjected Tora to lowest level of marshmallow hell. Squeeze. Squeeze. With the slightly murderous thoughts of a certain dark-haired Uchiha who was still limping and is getting better, but still kind of a fangirl teammate who had claw marks all over her face. Thank you for another mission, well done, Team 7. Sarutobi said with a smile. He thought it was odd how the demon cat hurt everyone except Naruto. It was like some lame plot device to make a certain cat-like girl, who was Naruto's fiancé, more comfortable around our favorite redhead. If this was a story, then the author would have to be really lazy to do something like that. Don't judge me. I really should tell Naruto about his fiancé soon. Sarutobi mused. Otherwise, she might suddenly show up in a crowded room and announce that Naruto was her husband. Man, that would be awkward. It's a good thing that stuff only happens in bad harem manga. I mean, the only other girl that likes Naruto like that is the Hyuga heiress, right? Bless you, Naruto thought as he heard his tenant sneeze. Thank you. How odd. There isn't even dust in here. Why would I sneeze? Maybe someone was thinking about you. With all due respect, Hokage-sama, Sasuke grunted as he shifted his legs. His Uchiha pride would not allow him to cradle his package in public. I believe that these D ranks are not helping us improve as shinobi. I would request we receive a better mission as Naruto has told me that you already know of our true level of skill. The Hokage of Konoha had just chuckled. He had expected this weeks earlier and from Naruto rather than his stoic teammate. Very well, I had expected this earlier, to be honest. Here is a C rank mission to escort a client to the wave and guard him until the completion of the bridge he is building. It should take about a month. Come into Zuna-san. When the client came in, Team 7 felt very underwhelmed. While they didn't expect to be guarding a prince or princess for their first C rank, they expected something better than an old man who reeked of sake. What? These brats are going to be protecting me? Yes, Team 7 will be escorting Tazuna the bridge builder to the land of waves where his next bridge is to be built and will stay for the duration to protect him and the bridge from any bandits or highwaymen that may interfere with that. They look like they just got out of preschool and can't even protect themselves, especially the short one. Tazuna said as his eyes landed on Naruto. Damn it, I just haven't hit my growth spurt yet. Naruto yelled as he lunged at the client only to be restrained by Sakura, who put her arm around his neck and driving a fist into his head. I'm sorry, sir, but please ignore the knucklehead here. Even if we aren't strong enough, our sensei is one of the strongest jonin in the village. Sakura said with an apologetic expression. Yes, Team 7 will be escorting Tazuna the bridge builder to the land of waves where his next bridge is to be built and will stay for the duration to protect him and the bridge from any bandits or highwaymen that may interfere with that. When Tazuna only grunted, Kakashi turned to address his team. All right, go home and pack your things and be at the gate in 3 hours. Tazuna could only blink when all 4 ninjas disappeared in Shushan's line break. 3 hours later. You know, I'm really glad that I finally learned the Shunshin. Sakura said as she and her other 2 teammates arrived at the gate. Hey, Chin, but I don't see Kakashi-sensei around. Can you sense him, Naruto? Sasuke grunted as he looked around. Naruto began extending his mind's eye of the Kagura. No, he's not around. Naruto said with a frown. You know, I had expected you to be more excited about our first C-rank mission. I mean, we spent the first weeks of our shinobi career doing chores, basically. Sakura said. Naruto shrugged. Nah, I mean, it was boring when the only thing we did all day was teamwork exercises. But when we started actually training and Kakashi-sensei would beat the living crap out of us, the Dr. Anks were actually a welcome break. Sakura nodded. She was the one who always healed Naruto and Sasuke. It had actually helped her become very proficient in medical ninjutsu. So, what do we do now? We could play some cards. Sasuke said as he pulled out a deck. Sure, why not? Line break. Another 3 hours later, he's still not here, growled Sakura as she held up her cards. And you're surprised by that how? Naruto asked, staring down at a pair of cards. Hit me, he barked at Sasuke, who dealt him another card. That's 21. Damn, Naruto. Remind me to take you to a casino to clear the place out. How many wins is that now? Sasuke said. 42. Naruto replied blankly. You ever get the feeling that the universe is with us? Asked Sakura with her face scrunched up in thought. No, that's just Naruto. You'll get used to it after a while. Sasuke said without even batting an eyelash. I'm not that bad, Naruto said with a whine. Sasuke just stared at Naruto. Quote, comma, quote, quote, comma, quote, quote, comma, single, quote. Finally, Naruto caved. Okay, maybe a little. Yes, Sasuke drawled with a perfect deadpan. Maybe a little. So, Sakura, how's your medical ninjutsu coming along? Naruto said, trying to change the topic. It's coming along good, especially since I always have 2 willing volunteers in the mornings. Sakura said with a smile. It is convenient to have a medic to heal you when you go overboard for training. You know, even though I don't like planning for it, me and Naruto are probably going to get hurt if we are in the front line. I wonder why no one has ever thought of having a medic for every team. Meanwhile, in some backwoods city in the Fire Country, a blonde-haired woman sitting at a slot machine sneezed violently, causing the machine to hit 3 sevens. Someone must be talking bad about me, she mused as she collected her winnings. Back with our protagonist, we find him with another winning hand. How many wins is that now? Sakura said with a twitching eye. 69 wins. Naruto said in a perfectly flat voice. How? You get used to it after a while. Sasuke said with a shrug. After another couple winning hands, Kakashi arrived with their client. Sorry I'm late. I had to find our client and make sure he was in decent enough condition for us to begin our mission. Kakashi said with an eye smile. Confused at the wide-eyed looks that he was given by his genin, he let out a flat, what? Sakura, who was the first to recover, answered, that was actually a valid excuse. Kakashi actually looked affronted at that. What? I'm not that bad, am I? Yes, you are. Sakura deadpanned. Yeah, you kind of are. Naruto said, scratching the back of his head. Sasuke grunted. Indeed, my eternal rival, you are. A voice echoed from across the village. That was weird, Kakashi said, looking in the direction that the voice came from. So, are we all ready to leave? Sakura nodded while hoisting up her backpack, while Naruto and Sasuke both held up scrolls for the kanji for storage on them. Okay, I'll take the back. Sasuke, Sakura flanked Tazuna. Naruto, keep your senses extended and take point. Let's go. Line break. Kakashi sensei, how long until we get to wave? Naruto asked, bored out of his mind. Looking at the position of the sun, Kakashi said, we should get there before the end of the day. Nodding, Naruto kept focusing on his eyes mind of the Kagura until he felt two signatures on the road hiding in a puddle. I'm both feel about Chunin level. Me and Sasuke could easily take them, but we need to find out what their objective is. After the group passed the puddle, the two demon brothers rose up from the puddle. They immediately tried to wrap Kakashi in a chain, but heard loud chirping before they could. Chidori, was all Mizu heard before he felt an arm pierce his chest, killing him instantly. Mizu, Gozu cried, seeing his brother instantly taken out. He tried to move to attack the one who killed his brother before he felt both of the tendons on his legs cut, and he fell to the floor. Well, I had intended to see who their target was, but I guess just taking him out works, too. Gozu heard the Jonin say almost as though he was talking about the weather. Hearing a sickening crunch that Gozu assumed was the black-haired one removing his arm from his brother's chest, he heard, don't worry about that, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto's got it. Sakura, cut the muscles on his arms with your chakra scalpels and bring him over here. Grunting in pain as he felt the ability to move his arms leave him, he was put up against a tree where he came face to face with a red-haired child with their eyes closed. When the kid opened them, he saw a red eye with a 4-point star marked by 4 red lines surrounding the pupil and felt something entering his mind. Koto Amatsukami. Distinguished heavenly gods. Line break. So, what did you find, Naruto? Kakashi asked his student when he saw Gozu go glassy-eyed. They were after you, Tazuna-san. Anything you want to tell us? Naruto said, turning a glare onto the bridge builder. Wait, why do you think they were after me? Tazuna said, panicking. Naruto frowned. Their client was deciding to be difficult. I just went into his guy's mind. Naruto said, pointing at the comatose Gozu. His brother, and some guy called Zabuza are after your life. This is a B if not a rank mission. Now explain, or we kill you and go home. Sakura shivered, seeing the cold look in Naruto's eyes. If anything, it looked magnified by his Sharingan. Okay, I'll explain, but you have to help me. Tazuna said, Wave is under the tyrannical hold of a businessman named Gato. Kakashi decided to cut in at this point. Wait, Gato. Of Gato Shipping and Transport, that Gato. Kakashi said with wide eye. Gato was one of the richest people in the world and, from the rumors, a pretty vicious person to deal with. Tazuna scoffed. Yeah, that's him, the little troll. The bastard may look like a legitimate businessman, but on the inside, he's a cruel criminal and dictator that controls what he has through force and money. He has a chokehold on my entire country, bleeding us dry of all of our hard-earned money, leaving us with little but poverty. He sighed. This bridge I'm building is going to connect us to the mainland and break Gato's hold over our country. He knows this and will stop at nothing to kill me. He turned a pleading eye at Kakashi. Please, I know I lied, but you can't leave me or my country to this fate. I know I can't pay for it now, but as soon as our country is liberated, we can easily make the money to pay for this. We'll even pay double or triple the amount. Just, please, all we want is to be free from this accursed bastard. Kakashi stared at the pleading look on Tazuna's face, thinking about what to do. Finally, he nodded to himself and turned to his students. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, this mission is up to you. Do we stay with the mission or go back to the village? Let's do the mission. We can't let that, keep his hold over that country. Naruto yelled, his cold demeanor melting like snow on a hot summer day. Sasuke grunted in agreement. Yeah, as long as you can take this Zabuza guy, we should be fine. Besides, I've wanted to test the Chidori in a real-life situation for a while now. Sasuke finished with a smirk. I agree as well. We haven't been training this past month for nothing. Sakura said with a smile. Speaking of which, Naruto interrupted. What do we do with this guy and his brother? Kakashi closed his eye and thought for a few seconds. I'll cut off the head of Mizu and put it in a storage scroll. Sasuke, you just got your first kill. Are you okay? Sasuke blinked as if he just realized that himself. Yeah, I'm fine. Alright, I'll cut off Mizu's head and get Gozu's, too. Just give me a minute to seal them. Line break. Team 7 traveled for a few hours. Eventually, they reached the shores of the Fire Country. A small boat was docked with a single man at the oars. Tazuna, the man greeted them. Thanks again for this. Tazuna bowed to the oarsman. No problem. Just hurry up. I want to get there as quickly and quietly as possible. After Team 7 and Tazuna got into the boat, the oarman departed. About 30 minutes later, they arrived at an abandoned building where they docked and bid farewell to the oarman. Kakashi-sensei, Naruto said with a frown. How strong are they and how long until we run into them? Kakashi said, slipping his eye back into his pouch. One is high Jonin level. The other is high to mid Chunin. Naruto said, signaling his teammates to get ready. After a few more minutes of walking, Naruto created chain with a kunai at the end and threw it into a bush. Guys, when the chain retracted, it revealed a bunny impaled by a kunai. Sasuke and Sakura let themselves relax for a moment before they remembered that Naruto was a censor and immediately tensed. Get down, Kakashi yelled, grabbing Tazuna and throwing both himself and Tazuna to the ground. Seconds after Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura hit the ground, a massive spinning blade passed over everyone and embedded itself into a tree. Nearly cutting the poor tree in half, a man appeared on the handle. Well, what do we have here? A bunch of green genin out on a mission. The man chuckled darkly. Momoki Zabuza, a rank missing nin from Kirigakure, known for his mastery of the silent killing technique. Your reputation precedes you, demon of the mist. Kakashi said as he lifted his headband to reveal his Sharingan. And you yours, Sharingan Kakashi. Zabuza said as he jumped down from the handle of his giant sword. What do you want, Zabuza? Kakashi demanded. I think you already know what I'm here for. Zabuza pointed at Tazuna, who was busy making himself as small as possible under the missing nin's cold glare. Hand him over and we won't have any problems. I can't do that, Kakashi said, stepping in front of the missing nin to take the brunt of the killing intent. Zabuza jumped back and landed on a lake. Weaving hand seals, he chuckled, I was hoping you'd say that. Sweden, Kirigakure no Jutsu, water release, hidden in the mist jutsu. A mist rose from the water and smothered the area, choking out all sight. Be careful, you three. Zabuza is a master of silent killing. He doesn't need to see you to kill you in this mist. Be prepared for anything and keep your senses focused. Oh ho, so you do have some experience fighting blind, eh, Kakashi? Zabuza's voice echoed around them. 8 points. Larynx, spine, lungs, liver, jugular, subclavian artery, kidneys, heart. Which one shall I attack? Naruto interrupted with an oddly curious look on his face. How are you going to hit any of those with that big sword of yours? I mean, can you really do anything besides just chop our heads off or slice us in half? I doubt it. If he really was a master of silent killing, then he would use like a knife or something. Maybe he's overcompensating for something. Naruto's pink-haired teammate replied. Kakashi's sweat dropped and he had the feeling that in the mist one of Zabuza's non-existent eyebrows was twitching. You know, Kakashi, I think I'm going to kill your genin first. You know, if I was anyone else I couldn't blame you. But since I'm their sensei, Kakashi trailed off as he went through 3 hand seals and gripped his left hand with his right, creating a Reikiri lightning cutter in his left hand and drew a kunai in his right hand. Kakashi swung his Reikiri in a seemingly random direction and sparks flew as Zabuza blocked it with the flat of his blade. Eyes wide as the Reikiri began tunneling though his sword, Zabuza jumped back into the mist. How? It's quite simple really. This mist might block out my sight. It might muffle my hearing, but it doesn't block out a certain other sense. Kakashi said as he charged into the mist, blocking Kakashi's Reikiri with his Kubakiribocho decapitating carving knife and grunting as it carved another gash into his sword. Zabuza realized he might be out of his league. While Zabuza and Kakashi might have both been ranked in the bingo book, Kakashi had spent the last month training with his genin who combined could probably take down a most jonin. This caused Kakashi to return to the S-rank threat he was during his time as Anbu captain. Retreating Zabuza dispelled the mist. At this point it was only draining his chakra. As the mist cleared around Kakashi's genin, it revealed a fifth figure bound in the arms of one of the genin. Zabuza paled as his eyes beheld the bound form of Haku. Line break. Before Kakashi charged off after Zabuza, Naruto stiffened as his mind's eye of the Kagura picked up another signature in the trees watching Zabuza and Kakashi fight. He wasn't sure whose side they were on, but it was better safe than sorry. Guys, Naruto began in a low voice. There's a signature in the trees. I'm going to go neutralize it. Sakura put up a genjutsu over it so that they don't just attack the client. Sasuke, if you hear fighting, come and help me. Nodding slightly to tell him that they got his message, Sakura moved her hands to the side and created a low-level cloaking genjutsu that surrounded herself, Sasuke, and Tazuna. Creating a shadow clone in the foliage, Hikaru body replacement with it and began sneaking behind the signature. Line break. Behind her mask, Haku was sweating nervously. Her master had assured her that it would be simple. Just cut off Kakashi's head while his Sharingan was neutralized and then take out the bridge builder. The genin would probably run scared after their sensei died. But while no plan survives contact, this plan went pear-shaped instantly. Kakashi was easily beating Zabuza and their target had disappeared along with the genin team. Chances are that when they saw how their sensei was beating Zabuza handily, they decided to just go ahead and let their sensei catch up. Haku was so caught up that she didn't notice someone sneaking up behind her. By the time she did notice, said person had already slapped something on her back. Jumping away from her attacker, she noted that the person had a somewhat feminine face with spiky bright red hair and odd red eyes. Suddenly feeling her chakra leave her, Haku slumped to the ground. Line break. Naruto let out a sigh as the hunter nin stopped moving. The seal he had put on their back was actually two seals interwoven with each other. The first was a seal that completely suppressed someone's chakra and the second seal was a chaining seal. Basically, what it did was if the person with the seal on them got a certain distance away from the sealer, then they would fall unconscious. It also doubled as a tracking seal. Creating some chakra chains, he began to tie the unconscious nin up. Line break. Back to the present. Zabuza cursed in his mind. He was getting his kicked. His backup got caught and there was zero chance of Gato sending any backup. His pride demanded him to fight to the death, but if I did that they would just kill Haku. Damn it. He was willing to fight to the death, but he didn't want to risk his surrogate daughter's life. Kakashi, I surrender, Zabuza said, throwing his blade to the ground and holding his hands up. Kakashi seemed surprised until he saw his team with a captive. Nodding, Kakashi took Zabuza's blade and bound him with ninja wire. As Kakashi and the now bound Zabuza walked over to the group, Kakashi raised an eyebrow as if to ask who their captive was. I don't know, Naruto shrugged, but I sensed her hiding in the forest. Wait, Zabuza said, glaring at Naruto. Haku binds her chest. How did you know that she was a girl? Naruto's cheeks turned red for a moment. Well, I had to tie her up. Brat, if I wasn't tied up, I would kill you right now. Zabuza growled. Wait, wouldn't you be trying to kill us anyway if you weren't tied up? Sakura asked with a finger on her chin. Zabuza stopped glaring at Naruto for a moment and blinked before glaring at him again. Yes, but I would make his death especially painful. Zabuza's been with us for all of 15 minutes and Naruto has already pulled Zabuza into his loop. Shaking his head, Kakashi turned to Tazuna as he lowered his headband. Tazuna-san, how long until we get to your home? Ah, it's about 10 minutes from here, Tazuna said, pointing in the direction of his house. Nodding, Kakashi began to lead Zabuza to Tazuna's house while his genin followed him. Line break. Gato's hideout. Damn it, was the angry cry of a certain, that fool Zabuza and his lapdog got themselves caught. God damn it all, now I'm going to have to hire him. Sighing and rubbing his forehead, Gato took out a cigar and lit it. It was going to be perfect. Zabuza would fight the team and tire himself out. After he returned from killing the bridge builder, Gato would have his bandits Zabuza and take the bounty on his head. He never planned to pay the missing nin anyway. Now Zabuza and his dog were caught and would probably choose to protect the bridge builder so that they wouldn't get killed. I don't like calling him cause he charges an arm and a leg. Gato said as he got out a notepad and wrote down some things on a piece of paper before he gave it to one of his inners who immediately left. But at least he gets his done. Line break. Later at Tazuna's house. So are you guys just going to leave us tied up here until after you finish your mission? Zabuza asked as he and Haku were tied up and on the floor while Tazuna, his family, and Team 7 were eating dinner. Actually, yeah, that was the plan. Answered a masked Kakashi who had already finished his meal and had out his Ika ignoring the glare Tsunami was giving him. Can we at least get some food? Zabuza was starving. His pride had already died from starvation. I call feeding the girl. One of you guys can feed Muscle Head. Naruto said as he grabbed a plate and moved over to the unconscious girl. When Sakura got up and began to leave, everyone looked at her. What? He said one of you guys feed him. As far as I'm concerned, that means I can leave. When she shrugged and left, Sasuke also got up to leave. I've got to go brood. Yeah, that's right. Killing Itachi, avenging my clan, and all that jazz. Seeing Sasuke disappear in a shunshin, Tazuna and Kakashi turned glares upon each other. Inari had snuck off as soon as he finished his food. Walking over to the unconscious girl, Naruto put the plate of food to the side. Putting his hand on her back where the seal was, he allowed some of her chakra to flow back into her. Eyes opening with a start, the girl's first reaction was to flip whoever had their hand on her back but couldn't back. She was completely bound by ninja wire. Looking up, she saw the face of her captor. Hey there, my name's Uchiha Uzumaki Naruto. What's yours? Naruto said with a grin. Haku, the girl said, still somewhat groggy due to her chakra still being restricted. Where are we? Well, we are in the bridge builder's house. Naruto jerked his thumb over to where an eye-twitching Zabuza was being fed by an equally eye-twitching Kakashi. Zabuza is over there being fed by Sensei. Suddenly it all came rushing back to her. The failed ambush and being knocked out by the person in front of her. Seeing Haku's eyes widening for a moment before narrowing, Naruto just held up his hands to try to placate her. Hey now, you're the ones who attacked us. Once the bridge is finished and our mission is done, you guys are free to be on your way, but until then we have to make sure you don't kill the bridge builder. Finished with his explanation, Naruto took the plate and spoon to his side and began to feed Haku. At first she refused, but eventually gave in because of how hungry she was. After feeding Haku, Naruto sensed that Sasuke was on the roof and went outside. Landing on the roof of Tazuna's house, he saw his dark-haired brother vacantly staring into the distance. Walking over to him, Naruto just stood beside him. After a few minutes of silence, Naruto decided to break the ice. So, what's bothering you? At first Sasuke just continued to stare into the distance and Naruto thought that he wouldn't answer. Eventually though, it's just earlier today. My first kill. I never knew you to be one who would be squeamish about something like that. Naruto said with a raised eyebrow. It's not that I feel bad about it. It's because I don't feel bad about it. I never really stopped to think about it because I had been focused on guarding Tazuna all day, but now that I have my first kill, it was just something. I think I'm supposed to feel bad, but I don't. Even when I saw the look of hopelessness as Mizu died, I felt a little bad, but other than that, nothing. Signing, Naruto ran a hand through his bright red hair. I don't know. I don't even know what that would feel like yet. I mean, I hadn't had my first kill yet, but when I do, I'd like it to be for someone I care about. I'd try some other things first, but if that doesn't help, then no, I wouldn't feel bad. I think as long as when you kill someone it's to protect, then it's okay. A few more minutes passed in silence before Sasuke just shook his head and chuckled. You know, you really suck at speeches. Hey, I'm trying to help you out here. I don't need your turning into some brooding emo. Naruto said, mildly insulted. I would say if I turned into a brooding emo you would become a loudmouth, __, but that's already true, isn't it? Hey. Sasuke patted Naruto on the shoulder as he went inside. Never change, Naruto. Never change. What's with him? Line break. The next day. What's with him? Haku asked, seeing their captor looking over some weird design on a piece of paper and muttering. Probably trying to find some way to make sure we behave. Zabuza said as he and Haku were bound by glowing blue chains coming from the redhead's back. Grumbling, Naruto crumpled up the piece of paper. Damn straight I am. We can't just watch you guys all day. So I'm trying to find some way to stop you from trying to kill us. At this point I haven't got much besides a kill switch if any of us die. Zabuza just shook his head. I don't understand why you guys didn't just kill us. Do you want us to kill you? No, but it would be more convenient for you guys. Naruto shook his head as he picked up another piece of paper. That's not a good reason to kill someone. Even if you two are willing to work for a scumbag like Gato, I assume you have your reasons. A few more moments passed in silence. Why are you two working for Gato anyway? Naruto finally asked. What's it to you? Zabuza grunted, just wondering. Even though Haku-chan hasn't stopped glaring at me, you two seem like decent people. Sure enough, the Ice Maiden had yet to stop glaring at him since they woke up today. Eventually, Zabuza decided to give an answer. I want to fund a rebellion in Kiri. Of all the possible reactions from the red-haired boy who was keeping them chained up, what he didn't expect a nod of understanding. That's good. Well, after this, I wish you luck in killing that monster. He gives people like us a bad reputation. Killing that monster, he must mean Yagura. Wait, people like us, that red hair, he couldn't be, or are you? Zabuza hesitantly asked. Naruto only nodded slightly. Zabuza-sama, what do you mean? Haku finally spoke up and asked. Almost as if to ask his permission, Zabuza looked at Naruto. Receiving another slight nod in response, Zabuza turned to Haku. Haku, you know about the man we are trying to kill. Yagura, the Yondai Mizukage, and the Jinchuriki of the Sanbi no Kyodegame, three-tailed great turtle. Well, about 12 years ago, the Kyubi no Yoko, nine-tailed demon fox, attacked Konoha. It was said to have been defeated by the Yondaime Hokage at the cost of his life, but the Yondaime was a seal master. Connecting the dots in her head, Haku's eyes widened. The Yondaime Hokage had sealed the Kyubi no Yoko into a new Jinchuriki. Yagura was also a Jinchuriki, and the boy Naruto had said that Yagura was giving people like them a bad reputation. You're the Jinchuriki of the Kyubi no Yoko, Haku whispered with wide eyes. The rest of the day was spent in an uncomfortable silence. Line break. A week later. All right, my cute little genin, we need to do something about Gato. Kakashi said suddenly after everyone had finished eating. Sakura voiced the other two genins' confusion. What do you mean, Kakashi-sensei? It means what it sounds like, Sakura-chan. In order to make sure the bridge is safe, we have to take out Gato himself. If we don't, then Gato might just wait until we leave and then use his thugs to take control of the bridge. This isn't a problem we can deal with by just cutting off some branches. We have to go for the roots, Naruto explained. The rest of Team 7's response was to just stare at him. What? I can be smart sometimes, too. Anyway, you're right, Naruto. That's why I want all of you to try to find out where Gato is, Kakashi began to say before he was interrupted by Zabuza. I can tell you where he is. Four heads turned to look at the bound swordsman. Why would you do that? Sasuke asked. To save some of your time. Think of it as a thank you for letting us live. All right, well, where is he? Kakashi asked, still on guard. Zabuza grunted and shifted in his chains a little. The little rat's probably holed up in his hideout. Haku and I had to go there when we first received the job. I can take you there. Sasuke just narrowed his eyes. What's to stop you from just betraying us? Only one of you needs to go. The rest of you can guard Haku and my Kubakiribocho, decapitating carving knife. If you haven't noticed, I do care for them. Kakashi pondered this for a few moments. All right, Naruto, you go with Zabuza tomorrow to the hideout. When you get there, create some shadow clones and have them infiltrate the place. If you see the opportunity to capture Gato without killing him, take it, but until then, just scout for information. Line break. The next day after everyone has left, the Naruto clone was bored. His creator had created him to maintain the chains on Haku and so the proximity seal wouldn't go off, but it was so boring. Why are you glaring at me? I'm just a clone, the clone asked. Well, your original did capture me and my master. Also, you've kept me chained here for a week. Haku said, glare still holding firm. Okay, 1, you guys attacked us first, and 2, why do you call him your master? Because I am his tool for him to accomplish his ambitions. The Naruto clone just stared at her for a few minutes, Sharingan eyes seeming to bore into her soul. Eventually, he just shook his head and turned away. I feel you disapprove of how I see myself, Haku said with a raised eyebrow. It's just, how can you see yourself like that? The clone asked with an odd look on his face. What happened to make you put so little value in yourself? When I was little, I lived in a small village that had just been the battlefield of a small war. Haku began. For some reason, she felt a need to justify herself to this boy. After the war ended, memories of the horrific battles still lingered in the minds of the people. Those with bloodlines quickly became feared and hated for their abilities, out of concern that their existence would only bring more war. My parents were simple farmers, but my mother had the ice release bloodline. She hid it from my father in hopes that our little family would never be torn apart, but it wasn't meant to be. At this point, Haku's eyes began to water. One day, I discovered my bloodline. My mother immediately reprimanded me, but it was too late. My father had already seen it. He gathered a mob and killed my mother. He was about to kill me, but my bloodline manifested and killed him and the mob. When the girl began crying, Naruto wasn't sure what to do. While he was more socially adept than his orange-wearing canon counterpart, he still wasn't much better. So, he decided to just fall back on what Makoto would do for him when he cried. Putting an arm round the crying girl, Naruto dispelled the chains, pulled her to his chest, and began rubbing her back. Line break. With Zabuza and Naruto. How much longer until we get there? Naruto asked from behind Zabuza, the chain wrapped around the Kiri swordsman coming from his back. We are almost there, just a few more minutes. Sure enough, after a few more minutes of walking they came upon a fairly large warehouse. All right, Naruto said, making a cross sign with his fingers. Kage Bunshin, creating 30 clones who all immediately transformed into small bugs and rodents and headed into the warehouse. Naruto and Zabuza began to make their way back to Tazuna's house. Traveling in silence for a couple minutes, Zabuza and Naruto began to get bored and decided to talk a little bit. So, what's it like being a Jinchuriki? Naruto stopped for a moment before he began walking again. I don't know. I mean, I'm not your average Jinchuriki. I had a family and my Bijuu's not all that bad, but I still had to deal with the hatred from the villagers. If it wasn't for my adopted family, I might have gone insane. Zabuza seemed to be deep in thought as he walked. Brat, if you did go insane, not that I think you were, but if you did, would it be a gradual process or would you suddenly one day snap? Naruto turned and looked at Zabuza oddly. I don't know. Why is that what happened with Yagura? Yeah. Yagura was a nice guy before the bloodline purges. He used to be my teammate and would always talk about making his village love him and finally accept him. And then finally the day came when he was selected to be the Mizukage. The man cried tears of joy, Zabuza said with nostalgia. But then, one day everything changed. He suddenly became a shut-in and ordered the bloodline purges. I had heard that there was a coup being planned and I decided to join. Since he was my old teammate, I figured it was my responsibility, you know. But when I finally got to his office, what happened? Naruto asked, enraptured by the story. He was just sitting there with a blank look on his face. It looked almost like he was in a genjutsu, but if he was in one the Sandy would have broken him free, but it still looked like he was in a genjutsu. The QB who had been listening from inside the seal began to connect the dots. A Jinchuriki working with his tailed beast can't be put into a genjutsu unless the tailed beast was also in a genjutsu, and the only thing that can put a tailed beast in a genjutsu, Naruto, unknowing of the musings of his Tai-led beast, wanted to know how Zabuza's tail ended. Then why didn't you kill him and end the purges? Like I said, Yagura was just sitting there, but I was driven off by one of the other 7 swordsmen. Kiss him. Zabuza growled. Naruto asked Zabuza if there was a man with a mask with one eye hole there. Zabuza, the QB wanted me to ask you if there was a man with a one-eyed mask there. Naruto said, unsure of what his tenant was asking. Zabuza scrunched up his eyes almost as if to try to remember before his eyes opened wide. There was. Why? What does it mean? Hold on. Naruto said, waving his hands as Zabuza got up in his face. Let me ask QB. QB, what's going on? Who's the man in the mask? He is the one who killed your mother and made me attack Konoha. Naruto's eyes widened for a moment before his face became uncharacteristically calm. What does that have to do with Yagura? A Genjuriki working together with his tailed beast can't be put under a Genjutsu. The reason for this is because if the Genjuriki falls under a Genjutsu, then the tailed beast can just disrupt its Genjuriki's chakra and release the Genjutsu. The only way for a Genjuriki to fall under a Genjutsu is for both the Genjuriki and the tailed beast to fall under the Genjutsu. And the only thing that can put a Beiyu under a Genjutsu is the Sharingan. Naruto concluded. Returning from his mental conversation, Naruto saw Zabuza looking at him expectantly. Closing his eyes and taking a moment to gather his thoughts, Naruto began to put together what to tell Zabuza. First, in order to put a Jinchuriki under a Genjutsu, the tailed beast also has to be put into a Genjutsu. Second, the only thing that can put a tailed beast under a Genjutsu is the Sharingan. Third, the masked man was also the one who caused the Kyuubi attack and killed his parents. Opening eyes, Naruto took a deep breath. All right, Zabuza, I'm going to ask you to let me get through my full explanation before I answer your questions. Is that okay? When he received a nod from Zabuza, Naruto held up 3 fingers and began ticking them off. First, while it's true that a Jinchuriki working with the tailed beast can't be put under a Genjutsu, if the Beiyu is put under a Genjutsu, then the Jinchuriki becomes vulnerable. However, that brings me to my second point. The only thing that can put a tailed beast in a Genjutsu is the Sharingan, like mine. Third and finally, the masked man I asked you about, he was also the person behind the Kyuubi attack and the one that killed my parents. Naruto finished with his Sharingan spinning in anger. So, you think this masked person is the one who caused Yagura to suddenly change? Zabuza asked. Naruto nodded. Yeah. So, what are you going to do now? Zabuza stayed silent for a few moments. What are you going to do? You said this guy killed your mom and dad. Even if you are pretty damn nice compared to most shinobi, I don't think anyone would let that go. You're right. Naruto nodded, Sharingan still spinning. However, when he attacked Konoha, he was after the Kyuubi. Since I have the Kyuubi, that means he will eventually come for me. And when he does, I'll be ready. You never answered my question. What are you going to do now? Naruto said as he and Zabuza finally returned to Tazuna's house. I think after this I'll stick with you. If this guy is going to be coming for you, I want to get my chunk of flesh for what the bastard did to my teammate and my Vil. Laga, do you think you could get me or Haku into Konoha? Naruto nodded. I should be able to. As the last of the Uzumaki clan, I'm technically the head. I can put you two under the protection of my clan. I just have to confirm it with Kakashi-sensei. Well, since we are on the same side now, can you get these chains off me? Line break. Later after dinner at Tazuna's house. So, why is the big man who tried to kill us free now? Sakura asked, somewhat scared of Zabuza, who was sitting on the couch polishing his sword. He was befriended by Naruto. Sasuke said, as if it was perfectly normal. Kakashi actually stopped reading his Ika and looked up at that. What? It actually happens a lot with him. After he fights with someone, they become his friend. Hell, I didn't like Naruto when he was first adopted, but after we fought, we began to bond pretty well. Naruto, who hadn't been paying much attention, turned to Sasuke with teary puppy dog eyes. You didn't like me. You okay? Sasuke recoiled. While most men couldn't get away with the puppy dog eyes, Naruto's Bishonen looks let him get away with it quite well. Oddly enough, his Sharingan disappeared when he did it, making his eyes look like a natural red pupil. While Sasuke was assaulted by the puppy dog eyes of doom, Sakura turned to Zabuza. So, why are you not trying to kill us anymore? Zabuza grunted as he finished polishing his sword and leaned it against the wall. Let's just say me and the brat found a common enemy. Where is Haku anyway? Naruto stopped assaulting Sasuke with his puppy dog eyes and turned to Zabuza. She fell asleep, so my clone carried her to a room. He neglected to add how she cried herself to sleep clutching his clone. Said poor clone still hadn't dispelled while the sleeping girl cuddled him like a giant teddy bear. Wait, why aren't you guys trying to kill each other anymore? Tazuna, who had been silent up till now, finally said. Kakashi, having already turned back to his Ika answered, because it was never personal. It was just two groups of shinobi doing the job that came into conflict. Since our jobs are no longer conflicting, there is no point in fighting anymore. Nodding, Tazuna looked at his sake cup before shrugging and taking another chug. Line break. The next day everyone went off to do their own thing again. Kakashi watched the bridge builder. Sasuke went to go train. Sakura talked with Tsunade and Naruto hung out with Zabuza and Haku. Granted, when I say Zabuza and Haku, I mean Zabuza, while Haku blushed whenever Naruto looked in her general direction. So, why did you kill all the graduates in your class? Naruto asked. Well, you probably don't know this, but Yagura and I were pretty good friends back in the day. On graduation day, the whole class was basically pummeling him and I just lost control. How did you kill the entire class, though? Growing up on the streets taught me to be good at stealth. By the time they realized someone was picking them off, I had already killed half of them. Damn, you must have been really good friends with Yagura. Naruto said. Yeah, that's why I want to murder the guy who messed with his head. Zabuza growled as he clutched his Kubakiri Bocho. Hey Haku-chan, why do you keep blushing? Are you sick or something? Naruto said, turning to the ice maiden who even now had a blush on her cheeks. Ah, it's nothing, Haku said, waving her hand, but her mind was saying something else completely. I broke down crying in front of him. That's so embarrassing. Oh. Well, I just wanted to say thanks for sharing with me yesterday. I kind of understand where you're coming from, Naruto said with a compassionate smile. At this, Haku tilted her head. What do you mean, Naruto-san? I mean, being hated for something out of your control. I understand what it feels like. In my home village, people don't like me very much, either. Because you're the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki. Yeah, I mean, even though it's not really our fault, the people just made us a scapegoat, so that they could have something to blame. Even though we aren't what they see us as, they still blame us for things we didn't do. Naruto said with a sad look on his face. Haku couldn't help but smile slightly. I suppose I've found a kindred spirit. After a few moments of silence, Zabuza decided to ask a question that had been on his mind for the last 3 days. Why do you and that other kid always have your Sharingan active? That can't be good for your reserves. Naruto's face darkened for a moment. These aren't my eyes. At this, Zabuza raised a non-existent eyebrow. What do you mean? When I was little, an incident caused me to lose my eyes. These eyes are implanted from my dead brother, Naruto said, fondly remembering Shisui. Wait, so you basically have to deal with the strain from 2 implanted Sharingan all the time. Damn, how much chakra do you have? Chuckling, Naruto ruefully shook his head. Way too much. So, what about the other kid? Are his implanted, too? No, Sasuke's a natural. Let's just say he's trying to unlock the next level. What do you mean? Chuckling, Naruto just tapped his nose. Line break. With Sasuke sitting in front of a lake with his eyes closed, Sasuke molded and fed chakra to his Sharingan. He could feel it. He was so close. While he might not have the inhuman amounts of chakra Naruto had, he had refined his chakra control to a fine degree over the past few years. Sasuke's chakra control was greater than most medic nins. While it was partially his way of keeping up with Naruto, if Naruto didn't use the Kyuubi, he could usually defeat his younger brother. It was also because his elements were the most dangerous to manipulate. Lightning, if you couldn't control it, you would shock yourself into oblivion. The same with fire. If his control slipped, he could burn his throat or even his stomach. Maybe if he had some way of creating flames outside his body and manipulating them. Feeling something shift in his eyes, Sasuke opened them and peered into his reflection in the lake. He couldn't keep the smirk off his face when he saw 2 pupils with 3 red intersecting ellipses on a black background looking back at him. Line break. With Sakura. As Sakura was helping Tsunade around the house, she ideally began thinking about how much she had changed from her time at the arcade. Where she was once a useless fangirl who had no real role on the team, besides being a dead weight, now she was the team medic, someone who was vital for a frontline team like theirs and not too shabby at hand-to-hand. She no longer drooled over Sasuke, and looking back at it, Sakura realized how pointlessly shallow she was. The most ironic part was that she had been fangirling over a fake persona Sasuke had created so that the village wouldn't interfere in his and Naruto's growth. While there was still some lingering affection, it was a side item, whereas before it had been her whole reason for becoming a ninja in the first place. Finishing the task Tsunade had asked her to do, Sakura sat down on the couch and thought about the way she healed most people. Her chakra control was better than almost any of the other medics in the hospital, and because of that, she had begun exploring a field that, as far as she knew, no other medic had done before. Regeneration. Regeneration was an idea she had gotten while watching Naruto heal after one of his many three-way spars between himself, Kakashi and Sasuke. Naruto would never scar, and any damage would be healed with no trace left afterwards. While most medical ninjutsu focused using chakra to directly repair the damage, regeneration would stimulate the cells and cause them to repair themselves. It was a more complete healing than simple medical ninjutsu. However, likewise, it would be many times easier to make a mistake. A single mistake would create a cancer, and while she could heal that with her medical ninjutsu, it would take even more chakra. Chakra she didn't have. Sakura was broken from her thoughts as Tsunade once again called for her. Line break. With Kakashi. Kakashi took a break from reading his Ika to think about the mission. Due to the presence of Zabuza, it would probably be bumped up to an A- rank mission, even though he had joined their C. Later on, thinking back on the fight with Zabuza, Kakashi felt some sense of relief that he had decided to take a more active role in training his genin. What he had said before was true. He wasn't improving. He was just regaining what he had lost. The years out of Anbu had taken their toll on Kakashi, and rather than the S-rank threat that Anbu Captain Inu, Dog, used to be, he was only in the bingo book as A-ranked Kakashi of the Sharingan. While S-rank and A-rank might only be one apart, the difference was still very noticeable. Even in his prime, Kakashi was only a lower mid-class S-rank rather than an upper S-rank like Uchiha Itachi. A S-rank could easily beat an A- rank, which is why during the short time they had been fighting, Kakashi had thrashed Zabuza, even though his strength was only at lower S rank at the time. Looking at the progress of the bridge, Kakashi idly noted that it would be finished in about 2 weeks or so. The mission is going so well, Kakashi thought as he turned a page of his Ika. So, why can't I get rid of this feeling of dread? Line break. The next week seemed to pass in a blur. Naruto's clones didn't report any suspicious activity from Gato's hideout, and he became closer to Haku and Zabuza, especially Haku, as the two has the shared pain of being blamed for something they had no control over. Sasuke trained and began creating variants of the Chidori. Sakura helped out around the house and guarded Tsunami when she went shopping, and Kakashi guarded Tazuna while he managed the construction of the bridge. All throughout the week that feeling of dread refused to leave Kakashi and only seemed to grow stronger over time. Eventually, Zabuza began feeling it, too. The bridge was being built at a steady rate, and everything seemed to be going well until one night. Why do you even try? Came an angst-saturated whine from Inari, who everyone had been ignoring until now. Try what? Naruto asked. You know what I mean. Gato is just going to kill you all. Inari yelled, trying to make himself bigger. Naruto chuckled for a few seconds before breaking out into full-on laughter. What's so funny? He demanded again, this time with a harsh edge to his voice. You a kid? Naruto laughed, wiping a single tear from his eye. Before Inari could try to _ him out, Naruto cut him off. Kid, telling us that we're going to die is like telling your gramps over there that he's going to get a hangover from drinking too much. The only difference is we don't know when we'll die, while your gramps knows damn well when he'll get a hangover. He laughed again. Kid, we're ninja. Dying is a part of the job description. We are born and raised to fight, kill, and die for our friends and family. Naruto's grin turned into a bit of a glare. However, thinking we'll die to some little troll like Gato is insulting. That bastard doesn't have anything going for him but his money. From what your gramps has told us, the dude is as short as you are. He has nothing to fight us with himself. He hires his power. Then, Inari began, suddenly feeling a bit out of his league in the argument. We have 2 A-rank shinobi. There is nothing Gato could do. Even if he were to send an army, we would destroy them. Me and my brother here could probably kill most of them by just looking them in the eye. Gato has nothing but some money, and unless he hires some S-rank psychos, there is nothing he can do to us. Inari had a look of shock on his face at how blatantly his beliefs had been thrown in his face. He grit his teeth in anger at Naruto, mentally cursing the blonde bastard. Who do you think you are? You have no right to come in here and talk that way to us. Do you have any idea how badly we've suffered under that bastard's rule? A ninja like you who probably has had it good all his life, what do you know? Oh. Inari was shut up by a concentrated blast of killing intent. Shut up, an angry Naruto growled out at the boy, subconsciously channeling some of the Kyuubi's chakra. Brat, Naruto said, whiskers forming, fangs lengthening, and a fox tail coming out from his pants. You come in here while we are just doing our jobs and begin bitching to us just because you lost someone you cared about. Do you want to know how many I give? None. 0. Your pain means nothing to me. But that's not what makes me angry. What makes me angry is that you dare belittle the pain we have been through. My parents died on the day I was born, and then when I was adopted, everyone except my brother, Sasuke, was taken away again. I, who had not known love for the first 3 years of my life, was giving it before it was taken away. The worst part is that I know that there are other people who have had worse lives than me just because their villages were greedy bastards and wanted more power. But you are here just writing their pain off as nothing just because you were hurt a little. Grow up, kid, because if you don't, then this world will eat you alive. Naruto walked over to the door before he turned around. All of you stay away. I don't want to accidentally hurt any of you. Naruto left, slamming the door shut. Silence passed for a few moments before the earth shook and the sound of things being destroyed broke the silence. Tazuna, who had dropped his sake cup, finally found his voice. Was that all true? Kakashi signed as he tucked his Ika back into his pocket. Yes, especially the last part. I can't give you too many details, but that all has happened to Naruto. And those people he was walking about do exist. They are, for a lack of a better term, human weapons. Getting up, Kakashi began to move upstairs. I would recommend not bothering him for a few days. Line break. The next day in a forest clearing. Naruto woke up as rays of sunlight pierced the foliage and hit him in the face. Rubbing his head, Naruto groggily looked around. Ah. What happened? The little brat ran his mouth off and you got really angry. Right, damned kid, talking about things he doesn't even understand. That is one of the things I hate most about humanity. Their ignorance and holier than thou attitude. There are so many things you hate about humans. Well, there are so many things to hate. Shrugging off his tenant's sarcastic retort, Naruto stretched and unconsciously spread out his eyes mind of the Kagura. Before he sensed them, eyes widening in panic, Naruto took everything he could in about the 2 monstrous signatures he felt heading to Gato's hideout. One had an absolutely disgusting aura. It reeked of death and decay and had an unholy taint to it. The second aura was just as bad, if not worse. At first, it felt like one massive aura, but after focusing a bit more, Naruto realized it wasn't one, but rather 5 different auras all in his same body. While it had the feeling of fire, wind, water, earth, and lightning, he was more focused on how old it felt. It felt easily 100 or even 200 years old. Feeling them go into Gato's hideout, Naruto tried to calm himself down. There was a chance that they weren't for hire. Maybe they just pissed off Gato and they were going to kill them. Yada. Receiving the memories from one of his shadow clones in the hideout, Naruto sped towards Tazuna's house as fast as he could. Line break. A few minutes ago in Gato's hideout, 2 figures made their way through Gato's hideout. Both were wearing black cloaks with red clouds. One was a man with a giant tri-bladed scythe on his back and slicked back silver hair. The second was man whose face was mostly covered by a mask except his eyes, which had pink sclera and green pupils. Knocking on the door before entering, the one with silver hair waited outside, cursing vehemently for not being able to sacrifice anyone for his god, while the other went into the office. Gato, it's been a while since you called for my services. Yes, it has, Kakazu. 2 figures made their way through Gato's hideout. Both were wearing black cloaks with red clouds. One was a man with a giant tri-bladed scythe on his back and slicked back silver hair. The second was man whose face was mostly covered by a mask except his eyes, which had pink sclera and green pupils. Knocking on the door before entering, the one with silver hair waited outside, cursing vehemently for not being able to sacrifice anyone for his god, while the other went into the office. Gato, it's been a while since you called for my services. Yes, it has, Kakazu. -00. So, Gato, What job do you have for this time and how much are you going to pay me? Kakazu said with a gleam in his eye that told Gato he knew exactly why Gato didn't like to call him. Gato grunted as he took his glasses off. I want you to kill some people for me. One of Kakazu's eyebrows raised. I'm guessing these aren't normal people. If they were, you would just have your thugs take care of them. That's right. The thing is that they have some genin and at least one A-rank shinobi guarding them. I see. So, the usual rates. Gato scowled before he nodded. 100 million yen and you can keep the heads of the A-rank shinobi. Also, I want you to destroy the half-built bridge after you kill the people. If you do that, I'll add another 50 million yen. Grinning behind his mask, Kakazu left Gato's office after being told their location and the best time to strike. His partner, who had been sitting outside, turned to him and scowled. So, are we going to get the hell out of here? You made us come halfway across the country and I didn't even get to kill any damn people on the way here. Kakazu just turned a glare onto his partner. Shut your mouth. I had to deal with your bitching the whole time, so I'd say we are even. We just got a job to kill some people. They apparently have some A ranks all handle. Do you think you can handle some genin? Hiden growled. Of course. They will all be sacrificed to Jashin-sama. Good. We leave in 4 hours. Neither of them dispelled. -00. Back to the present. Naruto ran through the forest as fast as he could. He had to get back. Those monsters would be attacking around dinner time. Every second was precious. Every second was one they could use to prepare. Bursting out of the foliage, Naruto kicked down the door to Tazuna's house. Kakashi-sensei, 2 really strong guys are headed this way, Naruto said with a panicked look on his face. Kakashi, who had been surprised, settled down a bit. Naruto, calm down. I'm sure they're not yes, they are. Naruto yelled, stomping on the down door. They both have huge chakra reserves, bigger than yours. One of them had his head completely covered and was called Kakazu. The other was a dude with a massive red scythe called Hiden. Zabuza narrowed his eyes. As a missing nin, he had made sure to remember all the names in the bingo book. Both of those were S-rank threats, but he had to confirm it. Show me. Look at my eye, all of you. Naruto said, sending chakra to his Sharingan. Showing everyone the memories of his clone in the form of a genjutsu, he saw everyone's face turn into a look of panic. What do we do, Kakashi-sensei? There's no way we can beat both of those guys. Maybe one of them, but definitely not both. Sakura said, panicking. Okay, first calm down. We need a battle plan. They aren't going to be here for several hours. Kakashi said, formulating a plan in his head. We should separate them. Kakazu is the bigger threat. Zabuza said. I made sure to memorize every name in the bingo book. The man is almost 100 years old and has the most experience. We need to take him out fast and quick. Set up an ambush. If we can't, then we need to split him up. Kakashi and I will take Kakazu while the rest of you, Haku and Kakashi's brats, take Hiden. From what I could gather, it looked like Kakazu was the brains of the duo. Kakashi nodded. Naruto, spend the next hour making as many explosive notes as you can. After that, we will spread traps around the area. Tazuna-san, do you and your family have somewhere you can hide? Tazuna nodded. Okay, go there. This is going to be a battlefield soon. While we are setting the traps, I want one of Naruto's clones with their sensor spread as far out as they can so we can prepare. Once Kakazu and his partner are close enough, we will hide and Zabuza, use your Kirigaku no Jutsu to shroud the area in mist. Try to take out Kakazu first, and if we can't, then split them up. We can't risk them working together. From what I could tell, Hiden was built like a taijutsu fighter. If we can't take him out in one go, then when we split up, make sure to keep him at a distance. Everyone got it. Receiving a round of nods, everyone went off to do their jobs. -00, as Kakashi told him to. Naruto spent the next hour making explosive tags. With the help of his clones, he had finished making just over 100 of them. Dispelling all of his clones but one, who had their mind's eye of the Kagura extended as far as it could, Naruto and his team began trapping every place in the forest. Ninja wire, explosive notes, kunai, shuriken, Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura used almost all of their supplies to create escape routes so that they would be able to keep away from Hidden if they weren't able to take him out in their initial ambush. They were prepared, but whether or not their preparations would be enough was the real question. When Naruto's clone felt Hidden and Kakazu enter his range, he dispelled so that the original would know a storm was coming. -00. In the forests with Kakazu and Hidden. What in the hell is taking so damn long? Are we there yet? No. If you ask me that again, I'll kill you. At this, Hidden scoffed. Ha. As if a godless heathen like you could kill a devoted follower of Jashin like me. I do have a god, Kakazu grunted. He is just green, fits in a suitcase and is actually real. Hidden looked like he was about to have an aneurysm. What was that? You. How dare you disrespect Jashin-sama like that? Shut your mouth, Hidden. You're going to tell everyone within a 30-yard radius that we are coming. As they kept walking, mist began to surround them. So, it doesn't matter if they know we are coming. I'll sacrifice them to Jashin-sama all the same. It will make it take longer. Time is money and I don't like wasting money. Douchebag. And what's with all this goddamn mist? Hidden said, waving his arm to try to clear it away. The place we are headed to is near a shore. This mist is mist. Kakazu's eyes narrowed as the sound of something cutting through the air come from his right. Hardening his right arm with Doden, dot and earth release, earth spear, he grunted as a massive blade crashed into his arm. Hidden reached for his scythe before the ground underneath him exploded, sending him tumbling away. Kakazu narrowed his eyes at his attacker. Zabuza. So the little rat sold us out. I could say the same. Zabuza said, pushing against Kakazu's arm. You're still a fool to come here alone. I am an S rank missing nin. You're only an A- rank. What makes you think you have a chance against me? Kakazu said, pushing Zabuza back. Hey, who said I was alone? As the last word left Zabuza's mouth, the sound of chirping birds surrounded Kakazu. Chidori 1000 birds. As he felt two of his heart being crushed, his two arms emerged from his chest. Turning his head around, he came face to face with two pairs of Sharingans. Letting out a choked cough as the two arms were removed from his chest, leaving two holes, Kakazu fell to the ground. Hidden cursed as he saw his partner fall down. Hearing that same chirping sound from before Kakazu had been killed, he saw a masked nin with silver hair with a hand wrapped in lightning lunge at him before he was able to jump away. However, the trailing lightning nicked his throat, cutting it open and sending spasms throughout Hidden's body. Well, that was anticlimactic, Naruto said as he walked over to the convulsing Hidden. Sasuke also walked over, shaking his hand to get the blood off it. That was the plan. Still, for S-rank opponents, these guys were pretty disappointing. Haku said, emerging from the forest. Kakashi put a hand on his headband and was about to pull it down. Well, not everything can be a battle of epic proportions. Futon, Atsugai wind release, pressure damage. Of the 6 shinobi, it was Naruto whom reacted the fastest. His eyes changed from the Sharingan to his Mangekyo as a golden aura spread from him and wrapped around the other 5 shinobi just before the shockwave reached them. When the attack had passed, it was revealed to be the ghostly torso of a skeleton with 4 arms and a head with a single horn wrapped in a golden aura. All 4 of its arms had hands wrapped protectively around the other shinobi, shielding them from the jutsu, while Haku was within the Susanu's Raibishi. Age next to Naruto. Sasuke took in how Naruto was in the center of the skeleton's ribcage. So, this is what his Susanoo with the ability to help by all means looks like. Kakashi let out a sigh of relief. That attack would have critically injured all of them if not killed them. Good job, Naruto. Naruto nodded, protected by the ribs of the ghostly skeleton. Thanks, Kakashi-sensei. Suddenly, Naruto covered his mouth, his hand, and began coughing up blood. Streaks of his bright red hair began to turn white. Falling to one knee, Naruto began to pant as his Susanoo faded away. Wow, what the hell? Naruto thought as his body began to feel cold. Your body isn't accustomed to the strain of using the Susanoo, so it began draining your life force in addition to your chakra. While you will be able to train yourself in the future, right now you need to rest. I'm sending you some of my chakra and I'm releasing the 4-pillar reverse consumption seal. Giving the equivalent of a mental nod, Naruto let out a sigh of relief as a feeling of warmth filled him. Omming from his stomach, The rest of their little group gathered around Naruto and watched in morbid interest as Kakazu stood up with the holes in his chest being stitched up by black threads. Running through some hand seals as her hands began to glow green, Sakura put them on Naruto's back. Naruto, what was that? Are you okay? Sakura said with concern in her voice. Wiping the blood from his chin, Naruto nodded. Yeah. Haha, just give me a minute to rest. Shaking his head, Kakashi put his hand on Naruto's shoulder. No, it's fine. Just get your strength back. We already took one of them down and only got caught off guard by the other. We show, that stung you goddamn prick. Everyone's minus Kakazu eyes widened. The cut on Hiden's neck was a fatal wound, even more so due to the lightning coursing through his sis. How? Whispered Kakashi as he watched Kakazu send some threads from his sleeves that wrapped around Hiden and pulled the man towards him. Well, maybe if you weren't such a, you wouldn't have gotten hit. Kakazu said almost as if he hadn't just had two lightning-wrapped arms thrust through his chest. You Kakazu. As Kakazu channeled wind chakra through Hiden's body and stitched up his throat, he turned to Naruto's group. Kakazu cast off his cloak to reveal 4 masks stitched onto his back, 2 of which were crushed. He bent over as the masks began to bulge and eventually tore themselves from his back, which immediately stitched itself back together. The masks formed 4 beasts, each mask a different beast. The first had the shape of a demonic beaked biped. The second had the shape of a demonic tiger but had its mask crushed. The third had the shape of some sort of deformed biped and also had its mask crushed. The last had the shape of a strange 4-legged body with thin wings. The 2 beasts whose masks were crushed shivered and died. The brats got my lightning and fire hearts, Kakazu mused. Wah, what the hell is that? Boozer said with wide eyes. I don't know, but I know I hit his heart. Naruto panted, glaring at the man who should be dead. What? I hit his heart, too. Sasuke said with wide eyes, turning to look at Naruto. Kakashi narrowed his eyes and looked at the beasts that had died with broken masks. Wait, both of you were sure you hit a heart? When he received nods from both of his male students that confirmed his suspicion. Then that means it's not that one of you didn't hit his heart. It's just he has more than one heart. What do you mean, Kakashi? Zabuza grunted, channeling more chakra into the mist to make it thicken. Kakashi motioned to the 2 downed masks. See those 2 broken masks? Those were the things that Naruto and Sasuke hit. They both said that they hit a heart, so that must mean each mask has a heart in addition to Kakazu's own. When Kakazu began gathering chakra, all 3 Sharingan users' eyes widened. Naruto wasn't strong enough to block another one of those jutsus. Zabuza and Kakashi both burst forward, followed by Haku and Sasuke, while Sakura tried to heal Naruto. 0-0 Zabuza and Haku versus Hiden. Zabuza was intercepted by Hiden, who had a sick grin on his face. Swinging his sword at Hiden's head, Zabuza grunted as it was blocked by the shaft of Hiden's scythe. Hiden had a sick grin on his face as he was in a deadlock with Zabuza. I look forward to sacrificing you to Jashin-sama. Zabuza's response was to kick the insane man back and disappear into the mist again as several senbon flew out, piercing Hiden's arm. Quote, exclamation mark, quote. 0-0 Kakashi versus Kakazu. Kakashi had formed a Raikiri, lightning cutter, and had interrupted Kakazu's jutsu. Dodging a compressed fireball that exploded with great force, Kakashi brought a kunai to his other hand and cut the strings that Kakazu launched at him. As Kakashi engaged Kakazu in taijutsu, he noted that he didn't see Kakazu's thread beasts anywhere. Ducking under an elbow strike, Kakashi saw a flash of dark blue in the trees and 2 shadows chasing after it. So they are going after Sasuke. I'll have to end this fast. Kicking Kakazu back into a cluster of explosive notes that detonated, Kakashi leapt after the 2 shadows. When the smoke from the explosion cleared, Kakazu was revealed to be fine other than some minor burns. All of his visible skin had darkened to a black color. Kakazu narrowed his eyes. If I hadn't hardened myself at the last moment, I would have been killed. They trapped this place beforehand. They knew we were coming. Taking a moment to dust himself off, Kakazu leaped off after Kakashi. -0-0, Sasuke versus Earth and Wind masks. Sasuke jumped off the tree he was standing on as it was body slammed and toppled by Kakazu's Earth mask. Seeing the Wind mask begin to mold chakra, Sasuke ran through hand seals ending on Tiger. Kaiten Gokaku, Fire Release, Grand Fireball, blowing out a stream of fire as the wind mask shot a bullet of wind. Sasuke's fire jutsu consumed the wind to increase its power. The empowered fire jutsu washed over the trees, burning them to a crisp. Sasuke watched as the smoke cleared to reveal the earth mask having defended the wind mask. The earth mask then lunged at the Uchiha. He idly noted that the creature's skin had become more solid looking. TCH, that thing is getting really annoying. Sasuke thought as he began dodging the earth mask's attacks, his Sharingan letting him stay one step ahead of the odd creature. If I use my lightning jutsus to try to take out this one, the other creature will use its wind attacks to stop me. If I try to use my fire jutsus to try to take the other one out, this one shields it. The creatures were just working too well in tandem. Sasuke idly wondered if this was what Kakashi felt like when he spared with himself and Naruto. Sasuke heard a wind bullet coming from his right. Twisting his body to avoid the bullet of compressed air, he wasn't fast enough to avoid the body check of the earth mask that smashed him through two trees. As the smoke cleared, it revealed Sasuke to be relatively unharmed, surrounded by a ghostly rib cage wrapped in a purple aura. Shakily standing up, Sasuke dispelled his Susanoo and wiped the blood that had pooled in his eyes. I only manifested the rib cage and it ate up almost half of my chakra. No wonder Naruto looked so weak after manifesting the whole torso. Glancing at the beast that had tackled him, he saw that it looked dazed after hitting the diamond-hard bones of Susanoo. Sasuke saw the wind mask fly out of the trees. Crossing his arms, he didn't have enough chakra to form Susanoo again and he didn't have the time to dodge. As he saw it begin to build chakra, he didn't see Kakashi tear out of the trees and barrel into it, shoving a Reikiri lightning cutter through the mask. Leaping off the dying corpse of the air mask, Kakashi landed in front of Sasuke in a defensive stance. He noted, due to his Sharingan's ability to see chakra, how even though the boy had almost no physical wounds, he was at just under a third of his chakra. Sasuke, are you okay? Kakashi said, narrowing his eyes as he saw Kakazu also burst out of the foliage, looking no worse for wear other than a few small burns. Sasuke uncrossed his arms to see his sensei and the shattered remains of the wind mask. Yeah, they kept covering each other's weaknesses so I couldn't get a chance to take either of them out. Looking at the missing nin from Taki, he noticed that other than a few burn marks on his cloths, Kakazu didn't look too much worse for wear. Did the trap not work? Kakashi shook his head. No, the trap worked. He just managed to harden his skin before it detonated. How are you doing? Narrowing his eyes at the earth mask that had rejoined Kakazu, Sasuke grunted, "HN. I'm almost out of chakra. I had to use the same jutsu Naruto used, otherwise that beast thing would have caved my chest in. Since I don't have nearly as much chakra as him, I'm not much use other than a distraction right now. I'm not doing too well myself either." Kakashi thought as he felt his chakra levels drop dangerously low after that last lightning cutter. Even though his training had bumped Kakashi's chakra levels up to the point where he could use it 5 times a day, Kakashi had also had his Sharingan on the who. Le Timon was sitting on about 1/8 of his chakra. Kakazu growled as he saw his wind mask crushed on the ground. Normally, I would switch to long-range mode at this point, but I can't do that with only my earth heart. But then again, both of these brats look like they're on their last legs. Closing his eyes, Kakazu considered his situation. Both of his opponents were on their last legs, but he only had 2 hearts left, his earth and water hearts. He would have to close in and finish it with taijutsu. Both of his opponents were lightning elements, able to pierce through his Dot and Domaru earth release earth spear, and also possess the Sharingan. At the same time, Kakazu had plenty of chakra left and would be able to focus on Kakashi while his Mas K distracted the genin. However, in the end, it came down to whom reinforcements would get here first. Hidden or the rest of their little group. There were power in numbers, and if it became a 2-on-3 or a 4-on-2, whoever had the least amount of people would lose. Opening his eyes, Kakazu hardened his skin. You better hurry the up, Hidden. -00 Zabuza and Haku versus Hidden. What in the air are you doing, Kakazu? Were Hidden's thoughts as he deflected another slash from Zabuza and jumped back to avoid getting stuck by Morsenbon. Normally, Hidden would be able to overpower Zabuza easily. That was the difference between an S rank and a B rank. However, Hidden's entire body was numb due to getting the side swipe of Kakashi's lightning cutter, And even though Kakazu had run wind chakra through his body to counter it, Hidden was street ill, having a little difficulty moving. Hidden had gotten multiple hits with his scythe and pike. Normally, that would be enough to end the battle, but Zabuza and his little friend had kept up the attack, constantly using hit and run tactics with the mist. Hidden hadn't even gotten a chance to ingest the blood on his tri-bladed scythe or pike. Not to mention the innumerable amount of traps that were scattered around the battlefield. That's why he was on the run again, so he could perform his ritual. 5 seconds. That's all I need to end this. Just 5 Jashin cursed seconds. Jumping over to one of the many half-finished circle dotting the battlefield, Hidden stomped his foot on the ground and finished drawing the circle before he had to duck to avoid getting decapitated. Lashing out with his scythe, Hidden had to jump back as Zabuza jumped over his swing and descended with an overhead chop. Hidden cursed as he saw the ground around his ritual circle once again being destroyed. Leaping over to another half-finished one, he cursed again as he felt himself trip another trap and growled as he saw a barrage of shuriken and kunai headed towards him. Gritting his teeth and charging through the storm of sharp weapons, ignoring the fact that his chest now looked more like minced M. Each rather than someone's torso, he landed at the half-finished blood circles, splayed his blood on the ground. Finishing the circle as he brought his scythe to his mouth, he cursed as he had to duck to avoid getting blinded. Beginning of the first line of the triangle, Hidden twirled his scythe to block a barrage of senbon. Hidden grinned as he was halfway through the second line of the triangle. If he finished one of his ritual circles, all he would have to do was ingest the blood on his scythe and get back to the circle. And he would win. Hyoten, Hisatsu Hayaso, Ice Release, Certain Kill Ice Spears. Once again cursing, Hidden jumped away as the ground around where he was standing was obliterated by a multitude of ice spears. Zabuza and Haku both couldn't help but wince as their enemy landed in front of them. While Hidden seemed to have a regeneration factor, as minor wounds disappeared in seconds and major wounds in minutes, the multitude of wounds Hidden had were insane. His cloak had been completely shredded to the point where it just looked like some kind of odd cape, and his pants were destroyed beneath his knees. There wasn't an inch of Hidden's body below his neck not covered in blood. His neck sporting multiple shallow, previously deep, cuts from where Zabuza had tried to decapitate him. Hidden's chest was, as previously mentioned, was stuck with multiple shuriken and kunai still lodged in his chest cavity. While his chest was regenerating, the weapons being slowly pushed out, it still looked like something out of a horror movie. His left arm was, however, oddly unharmed except for a few thin trails of blood from some bond wounds that had already healed. His right arm was another story altogether. It had looked like some had taken a knife and skinned the flesh right off his arm, and you could see some bone near his forearms. Hidden's shins were riddled with some bond that was slowly being pushed out as the wounds healed, and he had a massive cut T had sliced into the bone on his right thigh. Haku and Zabuza were also sporting their fair share of wounds too, though. Haku's hair had come loose and flowed down to her shoulders. She had no real wounds due to her speed and her keeping a distance other than a few cuts and a long gash on her left arm from when Hidden had just thrown his scythe at her. Zabuza was in similar shape, but he was in worse danger. In addition to the superficial smaller wounds, he also had a deep stab wound in his lower left abdomen and a gash on his right shoulder that was bleeding badly. Zabuza felt his control over the mist slip as it dissipated. Damn it, I'm almost out of chakra, he thought as he slumped to one knee. As the mist began to clear, an insane grin appeared on Hidden's face. That's right, you atheists. No more hide and go play. Prepare to die. Haku's eyes widened as Hidden charged with his scythe positioned for an overhead swing. She was out of some bond and chakra. Doing the only thing she could think of, she moved in front of Zabuza to intercept the blow. -0-0, Kakashi and Sasuke vs Kakazu. Sasuke ducked underneath the swipe and backflipped to avoid an overhead swipe. He reached into his pouch for some shuriken but came up with nothing. Grunting in frustration, he landed on a tree branch and jumped off as the previously mentioned branch was rushed by a body slam from the Earth Mask. As the Earth Mask got up and charged at Sasuke again, he slipped underneath its legs and axe kicked it in the back, wincing as it felt like he had just kicked a chunk of iron. The mask turned around and whacked Sasuke through a tree. That definitely broke some ribs, Sasuke thought as he saw the beast once again charge at him. He tried to dodge, but some threads shot out from the beast and wrapped around his throat and limbs. Momentarily distracted by his student's peril, Kakashi failed to heal, make contact with his stomach, and drive the air out of his body. Flying through the air before finally hitting the ground, Kakashi saw Kakuzu standing above him with threads extended from his arms restraining Kakashi's arms and GS. And now your heart is mine, Kakuzu said before a group of threads barreled towards the skin above Kakashi's heart. -00. As Haku saw her death in the form of a tri-bladed scythe aimed for her face, she thought about the last 2 weeks of her life. About the red-haired boy that she had come to know. While she had initially been cold to him, as one would be to their kidnapper, Haku had eventually been pulled into his loop and warmed up to the rather energetic boy. Over the next week, as Haku had learned about the boy's past and found a kindred soul in him, someone who understood what it meant to be seen as a scapegoat for something that wasn't their fault. While she had still held her duty to her master first and foremost, the boy had wormed his way into her heart with his cheerful smile and bright personality despite all he had gone through. As she sacrificed her life, she surprised that while she was happy to be of use for her master, she was still sad that she had never got a chance to tell the boy how she felt. -00. Threads froze as Kakuzu felt a hand on his back. Get off my sensei. -00. Time froze as an oppressive feeling filled the area. The aura itself could only be described as primal. As Hidden swung his side, this feeling was the only warning he had before something rammed into his back, forcing him to the ground, kicking up dust everywhere. As the dust cleared, Zabuza and Haku's eyes both widened. Standing over Hidden's body with one arm still extended towards the unmoving immortal, Naruto stood, wild bright red hair covering his eyes, whisker marks on his cheeks, foxtail swishing about in a cloak of energy surrounding him. Sorry, I'm late. -00. Kakuzu could only let out a choked gasp as he felt his heart stop. Turning his head around, he was met with the angry green eyes of Sakura. Ho how. Sakura merely pushed him over to the side to show her hand glowing with blue chakra. Chakra scalpels. I saw how you could harden your skin earlier, so rather than try to break it, I decided to just cut the arteries of your heart. -00. Naruto moved his head and his hair moved to reveal ice blue eyes with a miniature pupil and 6 concentric rings. Haku-chan, Zabuza, you both look like, __, he said with a crooked grin. Haku just walked forward in a daze before she hugged the bright red-haired boy and buried her head in his chest. Naruto-kun. Naruto looked at Zabuza, who just shrugged before he awkwardly put his arms around the girl clutchy. His chest. It's all right, I'm here. Zabuza chuckled as he used his sword as a makeshift crutch to stand up before his eyes widened and he dove forward. -00. Kakashi leapt into action as soon as he wasn't being restrained by Kakuzu's threads anymore. Grabbing Sakura, he leapt away just the last of the mask beasts barreled into where they had been just moments before. As the thread beast was absorbed into Kakuzu's unmoving body, Kakashi burst forward and picked up the gasping Sasuke before leaping into the trees. -00. Naruto and Haku could only let out a choked grasp as they both looked at the pike impaling their chests. Releasing a roar of primal rage, Zabuza ripped his blade from the ground and swung with such force that it actually cracked Hidden's scythe as it sent him flying back. As Naruto and Haku both fell to the ground, Zabuza charged Hidden with the fury of a maddened berserker, pushing the fanatic back. Kurama, don't worry Naruto. I can heal a wound like this, but the girl. Naruto weakly turned his head towards Haku, who was also looking at him. Even as he felt blood pouring from his stomach, he crawled over so that they were face to face. Haku-chan, Naruto said with tears pooling in his eyes. Haku just smiled even as blood dripped from her mouth. No, this is fine Naruto-kun. You will survive because of the Kurama. As long as you are safe, it is okay. Naruto gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. Someone he cared about was about to die and he couldn't do anything about it. For some reason, it felt familiar and that just made him hate himself even more. Raising a hand, Haku cupped Naruto's cheek. Naruto-kun, this last week, even when I was called to you at first, you wormed your way into my heart. Then we became closer. I found out we both came from such similar pasts, kindred spirits. Before you had come and I saw Hidden about to kill me, I had only a single regret that I can now rectify. Looping her hand around his neck, Naruto's eyes widened and Haku pulled his lip down and met them with our own. I love you. As the light left Haku's eyes, Naruto didn't notice Sasuke and Sakura arriving beside him. He didn't notice the first ring of his Rinnegan flash. He didn't notice as they picked his and Haku's body up before leaving. He didn't notice Haku's blood in his mouth from the kiss. All he knew was that once again someone had said that they loved him. And once again they were dead. -00. Is this how it feels to fight me? Hiden thought as he dodged one of Zabuza's swings before getting kicked in the chest. Zabuza knew nothing but rage. Tears pouring down his cheeks. Haku was his daughter, the light in his life, what let him remain human. But now she was dead and he would be damned if he didn't at least take the that killed her down to hell with him. He was a mess. Multiple stab wounds dotted his body, including one that pierced his right lung. He was bleeding out from a wound that opened his stomach. His right arm was gone and Hiden's pike was still impaled in his left kneecap. Even still he continued charging Hiden. This demon would claim one last victim before it died. Hiden grunted as he tried to block another one of Zabuza's maddening swings, but the force behind it smashed his scythe in two. Throwing away the bladeless shaft, Hiden noticed that the bandages around Zabuza's mouth had been chewed through and that his sharpened teeth were showing even as blood poured from his mouth. This is going to try to bite me to death even if I chop his damned head off. Hiden tried leaping back to get some distance, but Zabuza wasn't letting him get away. As Hiden left the ground, Zabuza lunged forward and bit into Hiden's shin before throwing him onto the ground. Crushing Hiden beneath him with an earth-rending heel stomp, Zabuza began to carve out Hiden's chest. He wasn't aiming for vital points. He was aiming to mangle the out of the freak so that he would never get up again. When Hiden's chest looked like hamburger meat, Zabuza finally stopped and dropped to one knee. Hearing Kakashi land near him, Zabuza idly noted that Hiden had stopped moving, but it was better safe than sorry. Slapping an explosive tag on Hiden's face, Zabuza slowly got up and walked over to Kakashi before it detonated, ending any chance of the insane Akatsuki member coming back. Kakashi threw up a little in his mouth when he saw the state that Zabuza was in. No living creature had any right to still be alive with that many wounds. Not knowing what to say, Kakashi just helped Zabuza lie down and pulled the pike from his knee. Kakashi. Zabuza choked out, wanting to get his last words in before he died. Give my sword to the brat. Tell him to cut the head off when he finds him. He'll know what I'm talking about. The silver-haired nin nodded as Zabuza's breath began to become more shallow. Also, I would like to be buried next to Haku. Even if I won't be going to the same place she is, I would like to be near her one last time. Kakashi gave another nod as he picked up the Kubakiribocho and put it on his back before picking up Zabuza and disappearing in a shunshin. The sky itself seemed to cry as the day was finally over. -00. Kakazu stood in front of Hiden's ruined corpse as the rain slowly washed away the blood. The upper half of his body was just two arms connected to a few chunks of meat. I can't even turn your head in for your bounty. Kakazu flatly noted as Hiden's head had been destroyed by Zabuza's explosive tag. Picking up Hiden's arm, he removed the ring with the kanji for 3 and walked away. Team 7 stood at 2 graves decorated with a simple cross. Both had a kiri headband around them, but one had Naruto's orange scarf also wrapped around it. The sun was setting, creating a red dawn as the 4 Konoha nin thought about the encounter that cost Haku and Zabuza their lives. Kakashi realized that he wasn't strong enough. He may have gotten a portion of what he once had back, but it was still not enough. It was only through sheer luck and the comrades' sacrifice that all of his students were still alive. Once he got back to Konoha, he would train and train and train. Never again would he have to make an excuse in front of a grave. Sakura cursed her uselessness. While she was able to take out one of Kakazu's hearts and heal Naruto, that was all she did. She didn't have the frontline capabilities of her team, and all she could do was make sure they didn't die after the fight. That wasn't enough for her. Sakura decided she would have to get stronger, faster, and more precise so that she could stand alongside Naruto and Sasuke rather than just waiting for them to come back. Sasuke was still baffled at the power of an S-rank nin. He was completely outclassed and would have been killed if not for Kakashi. Even after he and Naruto had gotten the jump on them. Even with Kakashi, they had just barely gotten away by the skin of their teeth. So, this is how far away we are from you, Ni-san. Rippled blue eyes staring blankly at the graves. Naruto had the fake hunter mask Haku wore in his hand and Zabuza's Kubakiribocho, decapitating carving knife, attached to his back with chakra. Turning around, he gazed at the setting sun. Just like the one when I found out my family had been killed. When Haku died and Naruto saw Zabuza charge after Hidden, he knew that Zabuza wasn't coming back. The cry that tore through his throat was of a man who was determined to take down his foe at any cost. Closing his eyes, he remembered what Kakashi had said were Zabuza's last words to him. When you find the cut his head off. Naruto knew who Zabuza was referring to even if Kakashi didn't. The man who had murdered his parents, who brainwashed Zabuza's old friend. While Naruto was sad, just like when he had lost his family, unlike that time he had someone to blame. True, Itachi did massacre the clan, but he somehow subconsciously he knew that Itachi was innocent. However, this time he knew exactly who to blame for Haku and Zabuza's death. And that someone was trying to scurry away before Naruto could get to them. As Naruto began to walk away, Kakashi turned to his student. Naruto, where are you going? Naruto didn't turn around at first even though he stopped. For a second, Kakashi thought that he wasn't going to get an answer until Naruto turned his head to reveal he had put Haku's Hunter Nin mask on. To kill a rat. 00 Gato's hideout. A terrified mercenary panicked trying to get as far away from his inhuman adversary as he could. What the hell is this kid? Was the cry of one of Gato's thugs before he was brutally bisected by Kubakiribocho with an angry red glow. The day had started out so well. Once all the men had reported to his hideout, Gato was going to bring him to the bridge to take control of it. However, that was when the day went to hell. Suddenly, there was some strange writing that circled the building and for some reason no one could pass it. Every one of Gato's thugs and mercenaries were trapped. Then it appeared wreathed in some bubbling red cloak with spiky blood red hair and some odd mask. It just appeared in the center of the group trying to get out and began cutting everyone down with a massive butcher knife. There was no mercy as blood painted the walls of the hideout red. Eventually, a thug with a massive hammer managed to smash the blade in half, but the blade seemed to drink in the blood around it to repair itself. Even when they tried to hide, the demon seemed to be able to just track them down and would slaughter them with no mercy. The worst part was when it pinned one man to the wall through his stomach and put the other hand on his forehead. The man's soul was ripped right out of him and the demon casually flicked it to the wind as if it was nothing. After that, rather than just slaughtering everyone it came across, the demon seemed to actually have a destination. 00 Gato's office. They had barred the door with everything they had and were as far away from it as they would get. Gato was hiding in a corner having wet his pants already while his bodyguards Zorian and Waraji didn't look too far away. The screams had suddenly stopped and they hoped that whatever it was killing everyone had gone away rather than there just being no one left to scream. Waraji shakily walked in front of the junk barring the door. Is it over? He asked before a bubbling red claw burst through the door and smashed him into the wall, killing him on impact. Waraji! Zori cried with wide eyes seeing his partner killed instantly. Turning, he managed to see a flash of red before his head fell from his shoulders. Naruto watched the mercenary's head roll on the ground with impassive eyes. Turning to Gato, who seemed to have emptied his bowels, Naruto thought about how easy it was to get in and wipe out all of Gato's mercenaries. He had his clones send out messages to bring all of the people under Gato's payroll to his hideout and activated the containment seal to trap all of them inside while he transformed and hid. After all the people had figured out that they were trapped and congregated around the edge of the barrier, he released his transformation and drew on enough of the QB's chakra to form the one-tailed cloak which also surrounded his sword. They had no chance and were all slaughtered. His chakra was absurdly corrosive due to how angry he was and it was actually melting the Kubakiribocho. Naruto remembered how Zabuza had repaired the blade after his fight with Kakashi by pouring his blood onto it. When he had asked the deceased swordsman why it did that, Zabuza replied that he didn't know all the details but apparently his sword used the iron in blood to repair itself. As such, he immediately began killing the mercenaries around him while his sword would instantly repair itself using the blood spilled and seemed to melt slower each time it was reformed. At this point it had seemed to have stopped melting and adopted an angry red sheen, the cloak around it disappear. But he had killed hundreds of mercenaries and his sword had probably absorbed gallons of blood. Please don't kill me. Gato said, his pride having left him when his bowel control had. I'll give you anything you want. Money, women, power, anything. Naruto said nothing before his hand shot out and grabbed the corrupt businessman's head. Gato began to scream as the chakra burned off his skin. You couldn't give me what I want. Gato stopped screaming as his soul left his body, which landed with a dull thump on the ground. With the knowledge that he needed, Naruto let his chakra shroud dissipate and let go of Gato's soul to let it go to the afterlife. Attaching the Kubikiribocho, which had lost its red sheen, to his back with chakra, Naruto took out a storage scroll and unsealed a bundle of explosive tags. -00, Tazuna's bridge. An explosion was heard in the distance as plumes of smoke began to drift into the sky. Tazuna turned his head in the direction of the explosion. So, that's the end of Gato, huh? It just seems like such a simple end to our troubles. Kakashi turned another page of his Ika. Unlike before, he had both of his eyes uncovered and his left eye seemed to have an odd pattern. As I said, there was no way Naruto would let Zabuza and Haku's deaths go unpunished. How long until the bridge is complete? It looks just about done. Tazuna nodded. Yeah, it should only take a day or so more. So, how are your kids doing? He hadn't seen any of them since after they visited Haku and Zabuza's graves. Sighing, Kakashi shook his head. Well, you probably know where Naruto is, he said, motioning the rising pillar of smoke. Sasuke and Sakura haven't stopped training even though I told them to wait until we got back to Konoha. They think that they didn't do enough even though I said they did. Honestly, our first C rank really went FUBA. So, what rank do you think you would put this mission after everything that has happened? Kakashi closed his eyes and seemed to ponder even though he already knew the answer in his mind. S rank. 00 forests. Sasuke couldn't help but wince as Sakura hit the ground again with a dull thud. After they got back from the graves, she asked him to help her train and had cut her hair to just below her neck. Since Sasuke was waiting until he could check out the Naka shrine back at home with Naruto, he agreed. They had spent the last 3 hours sparring and every time Sakura would fall down, she got right back up. Sasuke was getting worried. Sakura, maybe we should take a break. Wiping some dirt from her brow, Sakura stood back up and wiped some sweat from her forehead. Sasuke was really good at taijutsu and he wasn't even using his Sharingan at the moment. No, it's not enough. Still not enough. I want to be able to stand beside you and Naruto. Not just stand behind you. Sakura panted before shakily standing up and getting back into her stance. Sasuke nodded and closed his eyes. Opening his eyes, he revealed 3 red intersecting eclipses blazing with power on a black pupil. Then I'll stop holding back. 00 river near Gato's hideout. Naruto sighed, Sharingan lazily spinning as he scrubbed some of the dried blood off of his arms. After he had killed Gato, he was just going to head back to Tazuna's house when he had noticed he was somehow covered in blood. It was odd since the Kyuubi's cloak acted as a sort of a membrane, only letting certain things pass it. For some reason, it didn't block the blood, so he was drenched in it. Deciding to wash himself before he went back as he was sure Tsunami wouldn't appreciate him trailing blood everywhere, Naruto had stripped and was washing himself in a river. He ideally noted that even though he felt some sort of revenge for Zabuza and Haku's death, killing all of those thugs and Gato himself just left him with an empty feeling. It didn't make him feel any better and just left him with a cold feeling of satisfaction that left as soon as he thought about Haku again. Not to mention he now had the blood of over 100 people on his hands. He didn't really care and that worried him more than anything else. It is natural. Those people stood in between you and your objective. As a shinobi, you were simply doing your job and they just got in the way. Hearing a voice, Naruto's eyes widened and he turned around before immediately flushing red down to his neck and hands. She had long black hair, blood-red eyes with slits irises, a small amused smile, and a perfect hourglass figure with D-cup. However, since there was a level of seduction training in the academy, it was none of that which had Naruto looking like a tomato. She was completely as the day she was born with her legs crossed, knees up squishing her against her chest, arms wrapped around her legs, and her chin resting on her knee. Naruto worked his jaw for a moment before he closed his eyes and turned around again. While he could still remember the view perfectly due to the photographic memory of the Sharingan, it helped him calm his heart down a little. She probably wasn't an enemy since he hadn't sensed her at all until she had made herself known. So, it would be a good idea to figure out why she was here. But, he had to project an air of confidence that let them both know he was in charge. Sir, why are you here? Yep. Stuttering is definitely a sign of confidence. The small smile turned seductive. Oh. What do you mean, Naruto-kun? She purred, clearly enjoying Naruto's flustered state. I've been here the whole time. Streams started pouring from Naruto's ears. She had been there since he first took off his clothes and put down Haku's mask and the QB. That thought pierced through his flustered state. Flush fading to a slight blush, Naruto spun around and narrowed his eyes, creating a claymore from his chakra, pointing it at the woman. Where is the Kubikiribocho, decapitating carving knife? The woman responded by standing up, giving Naruto a full view and causing his blush to deepen a little more, and seemingly pulling the Kubikiribocho from thin air before lunging at him. Caught by surprise, Naruto was immediately disarmed and was kicked in the chest hard, sending him skidding across the river and onto the opposing shore. Coughing up some blood, he noted that he had broken some ribs. Feeling a weight on his chest, Naruto opened his eyes to see the woman straddling his chest with the Kubikiribocho under his neck. Who are you? Naruto asked, having trouble breathing due to one of his ribs poking his lung. The woman frowned slightly before getting up. It's somewhat disappointing my new wielder is so weak. But then again, you are young. You have time to get stronger, said the woman, tossing Naruto's clothes to him. Naruto put his clothes on and cradled his ribs, already feeling them healing. Wielder, Naruto thought, narrowing his eyes. You're related to the Kubikiribocho somehow. Smiling slightly, she nodded as a gray kimono with silver trimmings materialized around her that had one of the sleeves cut off. It also had an obi with a circle cut out in the middle and was black. Tell me, do you know the history of the blades of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist? When Naruto shook his head, she took that as a sign to continue. The 7 ninja swordsmen is actually pretty recent, having been formed only a decade or so after Kiri. Naruto resisted the urge to ask the woman how old she was. For some reason, it just didn't seem like a good idea. However, the blades are much older, almost dating back to the time of the Rikudo Sennin. But back then, the blades were just that, simple blades. There was no absorbing metal to repair the sword, no absorbing chakra or generating lightning. Back when they were first forged, they were simply very sharp swords. Then one day they came into the hands of my siblings and I and were forever changed. We each imbued the swords with a piece of our power and our souls. The same Hada, which was once just a hooked sword, grew scales. The Kiba became able to generate its own lightning and the Kubikiribocho would be able to repair itself. Seeing the question in Naruto's eyes, she stopped so he could ask it. Naruto, who had stopped holding his ribs as they had already healed, had several things he wanted to ask, but one thing was first in his mind. What's your name? At this, the woman's amused smile faltered and gave way to a more melancholy one. I don't remember. Honestly, I think this is the first time I have been able to materialize my human form since I originally died. Call me whatever you want. Nodding, Naruto scrunched up his face and crossed his arms as if in thought. After a while, his face lit up and he hit his palm with his fist. I got it. I'll call you Kubi-chan. At first, the now named Kubi showed no outward reaction. Then she started giggling, which gave way to full-blown laughter. Naruto had an affronted look on his face. What? I worked hard to come up with that name. His response was even more laughter, to which he crossed his arms and pouted. Eventually, the woman calmed down and smiled at the boy. I'm sorry. I haven't laughed that hard in forever. Naruto stopped pouting and grinned back. Yeah, I bet. So, do you have any more questions? I'm running out of chakra and soon I'll turn back into the sword. Suddenly, something popped into Naruto's mind. A power he unlocked only days ago. Wait, you said your soul is bound to the blade. What would happen if it was removed from it? The sword spirit put her hand on her chin in thought. I'm not sure. My power is intricately tied into the sword to the point where they are basically one in the same. If you were to try to remove the portion of my soul connected to the blade, it would cause the blade to enter an ethereal state following wherever you put my soul. Why? 1 second. Naruto closed his eyes in a meditative manner and reached out to the beast inside him. Hey Kyuubi, you awake? Yawn. Now I am. What do you want, perverted monkey? Hey, I'm not a pervert. I'm in your head. I know your memories and thoughts. Yes, you are. Now, what do you want? In the outside world, Naruto's eyebrow was twitching rapidly. You know my thoughts. What do you think? The Kyuubi was silent for a moment before it responded. Yes, I suppose it could work. It's a clever idea and I wouldn't mind some company in here either. Ha. Now who's the pervert? Still you. I'm female. Naruto opened his eyes and blinked once, twice, 3 times. Wait, I thought you said that bitches were genderless. We are, but our original forms were humans. Wait, what? I'll explain later. For now, you have to answer the sword spirit. Opening his eyes, Naruto saw Kyuubi right in front of his face. Letting out a definitively unmanly shriek, he fell on his. Kyuubi herself was rubbing her ears. Ow. Why did you do that? Naruto shouted. You were making strange faces. I assumed you were talking to the Kyuubi. Yeah. Wait, how do you know about the Kyuubi? I don't remember everything, but I do have some memories of my time as a sword. You were originally Cherokee like Rikudo-sama. I see. Anyway, this might feel weird, but bear with me for a second. Naruto said as he got up and dusted his backside off. Closing his eyes, he reached out and put his hand on Kyuubi's forehead. Opening his eyes, they were now a miniature pupil with concentric circles glowing blue with power. Preta path. Pulling out Kyuubi's soul, her form reverted back to the blade form before it wavered and disappeared. He noted that her soul was white but with strands of red, giving it a pinkish hue before he thrust it into his stomach. -00, Naruto's mindscape. Landing in a crouch, Kyuubi stood up and held her head. Ah. That felt weird. Where am I? Ah. You're in like a sewer-like place with pipes on the walls. Naruto's voice seemed to reverberate, coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. Frowning, Kyuubi looked around. There was water coming up to the middle of her shins, but oddly it didn't feel wet. Yeah. Why, where am I? For some reason she got the feeling that Naruto was pumping his fist. Yeah. It worked. Databio. He has a verbal tick. How cute. Kyuubi filed that away for future reference with a smile in case she needed to tease him. What worked? I figured that since your pupils were red and silted like mine used to be when I used the Kyuubi's chakras, I thought that I might have infused you with some of the Kyuubi's chakra when I killed all those thugs. Since your soul is basically bound to your chakra, that meant I could probably get you into my seal since it would think you were part of the Kyuubi, but since you only have a small amount of her chakra, you wouldn't be PPED by the seal. You could hear the pride in his voice. Kyuubi smiled. That's quite clever, Naruto-kun, but how will you use my physical form? I got that figured out, too. Kyuubi felt a pull before she left the Naruto's mindscape. -00, when she regained conscious she noticed that she was in sword form and Naruto had a wide grin on his face. It's just like when I use the Kyuubi's chakra and I can send you back the same way I use the Kyuubi's chakra, too. Naruto said before twirling the sword and attaching it to his back with chakra. That's interesting. If you ever lose track of where I am, you can just return me to the seal with the Kyuubi chakra acting as a beacon. Yep. By the way, would you rather be out here or in the seal? Naruto asked, seeing as how the sword could speak to him telepathically. You just need to think instead of talking out loud. I would rather be out here. Your mind is fairly dirty, Naruto-kun. I'm not a pervert, databio. -00. Naruto was walking back to Tazuna's house with the Kubikiribocho on his back and Haku's mask attached to his hip. He had spent the past hour walk pestering Kyuubi about just about everything. He learned that Kyuubi would be teaching him how to use the sword rather than just having him passively absorb how to use it like her previous owners. He also learned that the power that Kyuubi had in her lifetime was the Hyoten like Haku. She imbued ice's power to freeze nearby water and turn it into ice into her sword, causing it to absorb blood to repair itself. When Naruto said he didn't understand, she told him to think of it as how ice was able to repair itself with its base elements with a source of cold. The same way the sword could repair itself with the iron in blood with her power as the source. One of the first things he asked as if the damage the sword felt was also felt by her, but she told him it wasn't, but it was sweet that he cared about her. While Kyubi did find the stream of questions somewhat annoying, she thought it was good that it was distracting Naruto from obsessing over Haku and Zabuza's deaths. He arrived at Tazuna's house at the same time as Sasuke, who was slightly tired, and Sakura, who looked dead on her feet while leaning on Sasuke. When Naruto asked what was with them, they both just replied training. Kakashi arrived with Tazuna and told them that the bridge would be complete tomorrow. While dinner was a relatively normal affair, Team 7 was happy that Naruto had bounced back. After dinner, everyone went to their rooms. Sakura and Tazuna's family fell asleep relatively quickly, but Sasuke, Kakashi, and Naruto were in Sasuke's room and having a relatively secret conversation. Kakashi wasn't sure what was going on. Sasuke had asked the silver-haired Jonin to come to his room after dinner because he and Naruto had something to talk to him about. The expression he had on was relatively grave, so that meant that if Kakashi showed up 3 hours late, then he would be subjected to another one of Naruto's pranks. Kakashi shivered remembering the last one. So, what did you guys want to talk about? Sasuke and Naruto shared a look before Sasuke spoke. Kakashi-sensei, do you know how to use your Mangekyo Sharingan? That took Kakashi by surprise. I know how to use Kamui, Authority of the Gods, but the reason I don't use it is because I'm not that good at it. Well, there is a tablet in the Naka Shrine that is supposed to teach you how to use the Mangekyo techniques better. Sasuke and I plan to check it out once we got back, since this mission showed us that we aren't strong enough. Since you have a Mangekyo, we wondered if you wanted to check it out with us. Naruto said, I think that would be a good idea. 00. The next day the bridge was completed. The people of Wave had originally wanted to name it the Great Naruto Bridge, but Naruto shook his head and told them that it wasn't just him and that he wanted the bridge to honor everyone. In the end, it was named the Bridge of Bonds. As Team 7 walked back to Konoha, not much was said. Naruto was his usual bright self, but he seemed to sink inward every now and then. Sasuke would sometimes look at the road as if he was looking at someone's back. Sakura walked beside Sasuke and Naruto thinking of ways to get stronger, and Kakashi read his Ika. 00. Hokage Tower. Team 7 reporting back from A rank mission turned S rank. Silence filled the room at Kakashi's declaration. Iruka had dropped the scrolls he was sorting. The Sandaime had dropped his pipe and everyone was staring at Kakashi with wide eyes. Could you repeat that, Kakashi-kun? I'm not sure I heard you correctly. The Sandaime said, the first one to recover from Kakashi's stunning declaration. Of course, Hokage-sama. Team 7 reporting back from A rank mission turned S rank. The Hokage's eyes immediately sharpened. Tell me what happened. Kakashi nodded. While escorting the client Tazuna, we came across C rank missing nins, the Demon Brothers. They were easily dispatched, and when we confronted Tazuna, he admitted that he had lied about the mission parameters. Due to how well trained my genin were, I decided to continue the mission, believe I would be able to handle any threat and my genin could save me if I was over my head. We later ran into A rank missing nin, Momoki Zabuza. While I engaged Zabuza, my genin had sensed that he had an accomplice that they proceeded to capture, forcing Zabuza to surrender. We would arrive at Tazuna's house with no issue, and over the next 2 weeks, Naruto bonded with Zabuza and Haku, causing them to agree to help us as thanks for not simply killing them. A few days before the bridge was finished, however, Naruto had informed us that Gato had hired 2 S-rank missing nin, Kakazu of Takagakure and Hiden of Yukigakure, to kill Zabuza, us and the bridge builder because of shadow clones he had transformed and hid in Gato's hideout. In the resulting skirmish, Zabuza, Hiden and Haku were all killed while Kakazu was severely injured and fled. With his last words, Zabuza passed his sword on to Naruto, who proceeded to kill Gato and a great number of his thugs. Afterwards, the bridge was completed. Sarutobi nodded shakily. Encountering 2 S-rank missing nins during your first out-of-village mission must have been terrifying. He had been expecting the worst when Kakashi was the only one to show up for the mission debriefing, but he now realized that the man must have sent his genin home for some R&R. Very well, I will be expecting a written report. You may inform Team 7 that the payment will be delivered to them personally and they are being given a 3-week leave to recover. Hokage-sama. Kakashi nodded his head in acknowledgement before he disappeared in a shunshin. -00 in front of the Naka Shrine. So, are you both ready? Naruto asked with his Sharingan active. Sasuke nodded with his Adam-styled Mangekyo. Kakashi pulled up his headband to reveal his pinwheel-shaped Mangekyo. Frowning as his Mangekyo wasn't activating no matter how much chakra he put into his eyes, he decided to ask the QB. Hey QB, do you knots? The Rinnegan is the natural evolution of the Sharingan. You should be able to do everything you could do with the Mangekyo with your Rinnegan. Giving a mental nod, Naruto stopped feeding chakra to his Sharingan, causing it to revert back to his Rinnegan. Turning to his companions, he nodded. Assuming Naruto knew what he was doing, Sasuke walked into the Naka shrine, unlocked the seal that hid the entrance to the secret Uchiha meeting room. The secret Uchiha meeting room was relatively large, but the part they were looking for was surrounded by stone rather than wood. It had two odd symbols on the left and right walls with two eternally burning braziers. However, none of that was what caught their attention. What did was a massive tablet coming up to Kakashi's waist and was about twice as wide as it was tall. Over it was another inscription flanked by two Uchiha symbols. The trio looked at each other before walking up and trying to read the tablet with their respective dojutsus. As they read more and more of the tablet, their eyes widened. Sasuke took a step back, obviously shaken. What? The Kakashi said, putting a hand over his mouth. Naruto, who could read more of the tablet than Sasuke or Kakashi, finished their statement with a resounding. So guys, what do you think about this Naruto story? Tell me your opinion in the comments. And if you want more Naruto what if stories, make sure to subscribe to Universe of Naruto. Thanks for watching.